I got a hold in my stomach. Shoot, doing this podcast, man.
All right, I'm kind of looking like a ghost over there. I think it's adjusting. There we are.
There you are.
And podcast number 10.
There we go. Ramsey Dewey. What's up?
Donovan.
Yes, sir.
Donovan, I just realized I don't know your last name, man.
Cosby.
Cosby.
Okay.
And this happened when I had Ned on the podcast. I didn't know his last name and turned out to be Horsey. Interesting name.
Really? You know, a lot of people, since I was young, used to always ask, are you related to Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I wish. But nowadays, I'm
like, yeah, man.
No relation at all.
People probably ask you that with a condescending tone. You're related to that guy?
Yeah. It changed from positive to like just super negative over a decade.
I always used to get asked if I was related to the guy who invented the Dewey Decimal System, but nobody uses that in the libraries anymore, so don't get that question.
That'd be interesting if you actually say yes. And just say, hey, tell me more about the history. And you freeze up.
Indeed. Man. I guess the Dewey Decimal System still exists, and for you younger people watching the podcast, that was a thing that you had to use to find where books were in the library based on, well, decimal numbers, I guess.
Very confusing.
Yes, very confusing. Now you can just type in a word on a search engine, and there it is.
There it is. I haven't been to a library, and I don't even remember. Actually, last time I've been to a library. Yeah, everything's just on the internet now.
Yeah, and libraries are different here in China. And they have them, but it's not the same kind of thing as like an American library.
It's not. The Wi-Fi sucks, first of all, in the libraries that I've been to. And the stuff is more just spread out everywhere. I don't know. I went to the library in Pudong, this big, huge library, and like it was just all over the place. And at a small, teeny tiny English section there.
Yeah.
But not enough books to make me want to stay. Like, oh, this is a cool place, you know. And the Wi-Fi, like I said, the Wi-Fi was bad, so I just got the hell out of there.
There's a Spanish language library here in China. I haven't been there, but a lot of my Spanish-speaking friends, they love it because it's a whole library dedicated to their language, which is pretty rare to have in a city like Shanghai.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many Spanish-speaking people are here. I'm sure there must be a lot who have a library dedicated to it, right?
I mean, I've met a few. I mean, I speak Spanish myself, and it's not very often I get to have a conversation in Spanish in China.
Yeah. But you know what? Actually, I have met some of my Chinese friends have started or were studying Spanish, but I haven't met too many Chinese people who are interested. When you ask them, hey, where do you want to go? Like, where are you trying to visit? It's usually like to Europe, the UK or something, Australia, but they never say like to Mexico or to like to Spain or something. So that's interesting.
Yeah, nobody's like, I want to go to Ecuador or Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina, They barely say, a lot of people with my friend, they barely say the States now. I used to, coming from the States, I came out here, I'm like, yeah, the States is number one. I know you want to go there. I don't even have to ask, but usually, when I do ask, like, where would you prefer to go, like to travel and just live right now? They always say, like, the UK. They say, oh, there's so much culture there. You walk around and you see, like, the castles and, the parliaments and stuff like that. And, like, what did the U.S. have? What did they have? Just gun violence and people fighting, and that's all they talk about. So,
oh man, there's violence everywhere though. But the UK is it's much older. Like my mother's from the United Kingdom, and she grew up in a house that was like 500 years old. And in the United States, nothing's 500 years old. I mean, except like ancient artifacts and whatnot. But
you're really like gonna walk down the street and see some monument, unless maybe you're in DC. Or something, but I think you're really going to walk down the street and see some monuments. I mean, like you do in China. Yeah. There's like Jinggang Temple. There's like a temple in the middle of downtown or something. And but you're not going to see any like old statues or anything like historic from a historical perspective.
Jinggang Temple's a weird place. The first time I went there, it was like, there's this ancient-looking Buddhist temple in the middle of this, in the middle of downtown Shanghai with these big high-rise buildings all over. I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. It's a weird thing for me to see.
Weird contrast, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I was surprised how cheap it was for like how you know how big it is and how much of a establishment it is just on that corner. I
Yeah,
think it was only 30 R&B to go inside or something like that.
yeah,
And it was cool. It was cool. It was nice to see that. It let me know that I was in China. You
yeah.
know, so despite all the, you know, advances taking place in Shanghai, there's still like some history there. Still, it's just pretty cool
Yeah,
to be around.
I think from an American's perspective, that's the kind of thing we want to see initially when we come to China. We want to see the very traditional Chinese stuff. We want to see the
Yeah.
Great Wall and
Yeah.
the Forbidden City and all that. And you arrive to Shanghai and you see like some of the world's tallest buildings and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
super
yeah.
fast trains and all this. And we're like, this is the future. I want to see the past.
That's why, when I came to China 2012, and I didn't start off in Shanghai. I started off in the city of Kunshan.
Yeah.
And I was there for 4 years, but I tell everybody, like, I'm really glad that I didn't start off in Shanghai because I feel like I got more of a cultural and historical like experience, you know, in the old smaller cities and stuff where like, it's not too many skyscrapers. You got to go explore temples and water towns and statues and stuff like that. But, like, you ask a lot of people in Shanghai, like, hey, have you been to this place? Have you got on and done this cultural thing? It's like, nah, I haven't at all. Haven't even
People are so
tasted it.
busy here, man.
Yeah, it's fast paced. It's very fast paced. But I mean, Shanghai still has its own, you know, uniqueness. You know, like, you know, the public bike system. You got the skyscrapers. You got the bun. You got like all the foreigners here. You got Sherpas. You have just all the cool stuff that you can't get.
And they still have a few of those old hutong neighborhoods. You ever see those?
Yeah, I have. Well, I thought they were going to destroy those though.
They've destroyed a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I used to perform in this contemporary dance group where we'd go out and perform in public a lot. There was this hutong that was condemned to demolition, and so we did a whole big exhibition there, and people came just to basically see one of the last remnants of old China in Shanghai. And that was really interesting. But if you're not familiar with the hutong, it's like the old style of neighborhood that they had for, you know, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
In China.
They look really out of place in Shanghai now.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's all these sky rises and
Yeah, if you look at the Chinese character for home, jia, it's literally radicals for a roof over the radical for a pig.
oh wow.
So it's literally a pig under a roof, and that comes from the old hutong style where there would be like a little courtyard type of house, and then on the inside there would be like a little patio where they would keep the pig, the family pig. Because that was like considered a home. It's not really a home unless it has a pig, at least in old China. But in modern China, the relevance of that character is all but forgotten.
And then for Chinese New Year, they would cut the head off, cut the head off the pig and just eat it.
Pretty much, yes. It's another thing that shocked me about China when I first got here was how prevalent pork was in the Chinese diet. I mean, you go to a Chinese American restaurant, it's mostly chicken.
Yeah. I didn't know that as well. And another big thing that I didn't know was that KFC was just like so widespread across China. It's everywhere.
Man, they love KFC.
Yeah, they love KFC. You would think, because, you know, in America, I think McDonald's is just running America for the most part.
Pretty
but
much.
You get here and KFC is literally just on every corner.
Yeah.
Every corner.
McDonald's is big here because it's big all over the world, but not as big as KFC.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, one of the most disappointing things for me about KFC was they changed the menu.
They did.
So, I mean, they still have fried chicken. You can get the deep fried chicken.
Yeah.
Like you can anywhere a KFC exists. But instead of like that Southern comfort food style stuff, cornbread and
macaroni and cheese.
Yes, and baked beans.
I think
and
they
that
had
sort of thing.
coleslaw. I think I've been somewhere where they had coleslaw before.
Yeah.
Out here,
but it's mostly like spicy chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
And with lots and lots of mayonnaise, like way too much mayonnaise.
Yeah, like peas, not peas, corn.
Yeah.
Corn and stuff inside the chicken mixed with the chicken or
They
something
put
like
weird
that.
stuff in chicken sandwiches or
Very weird stuff. But I think it's interesting too, versus the States, like all the fast food restaurants here, KFC, McDonald's, even Subway are more restaurant styled versus
oh yes.
like get your order and get the hell out of here. Like in the States, you know.
Especially Pizza Hut, man. Pizza Hut blew my mind. And it's kind of funny, we're talking about Chinese cultural experiences, and some of the most shocking ones are going to American restaurants in China.
Yeah. I would say that too. I I think the most lavish one that I've seen was a KFC though in Quinshon. It was like this big, huge. It looked like a Chuck E. Cheese. Like almost had a playpen over there. It had like dining tables over here. We had people. I was surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if someone came out on skates, you know, just rolling around with the music jamming and delivering the food and stuff. But it's just crazy. I guess, you know, the society out here is more family orientated and more social and stuff. So, and I remember when I was in high school, my finance teacher, he used to always tell us about why places like McDonald's put like the hard seats inside, like in the States, inside the restaurants, because they don't want you to stay there. They just want you to kind of get your food and leave. So that's why all the seats are hard. Like in McDonald's and KFC back in the States.
That's also why they play music with a beat to it, because it's been proven through studies that the faster the music, the faster people eat.
Really?
So they want them in and out as fast as possible.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Huh. The more you know.
Man, I used to work at a Taco Time. Did they have Taco Times in California?
I never heard Taco Time.
It's basically a fast food taco restaurant. It's similar to Taco Bell, but just different enough not to have lawsuits. And you know, it's not like a big, hugely popular chain or anything, but man, lunchtime was insane. And that's not even a popular restaurant in a big location. But man, lunchtime, it's just like anyone who works the lunchtime shift at a fast food restaurant, you have my respect. Because that is a tough job. That is a crazy tough job. The rest of the day, not so much, but lunchtime, man.
Yeah. Well, I got something for that. I worked at a movie theater, actually. Do you know, you've been to Hollywood before?
Yeah.
You know Grauman's Chinese Theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there. I
Really?
worked there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I remember when that got crazy, when a big movie came out, that would be like the equivalent of lunchtime at a fast food restaurant.
Oh, I imagine.
Long lines, and you got to go count the change correctly, because they tell you that, like, if you come up $5 short, like, you get fired or something like that from the register. And then you got to go fix the popcorn, you got to make the sodas. Meanwhile, this line just never ends, you know. But I did get a chance to see all the big movie premieres though. That was a big perk of the job, you know. So I got to see all the celebrities come in and out. Will Smith, so Ice Cube, Eva Mendes.
Oh yeah, that's where they have all the red carpet premieres, right?
Yeah.
I went there with my father-in-law. He works in the Hollywood area. They were having, it was like a silent movie exhibition with a live organ player. And my father-in-law, he's a pianist. He's a professional pianist, and I guess he knew the guy really well, and they did this awesome exhibition about silent era films there. Anyway, that was fascinating. But
I never. I guess besides, there was a movie that won the best movie. Not best. What's the category? Best film. Of the year. It was a silent movie, right? About 3 years ago.
Oh,
I forgot
really?
the name of it. Yeah. I forgot the name of it, but it's about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So just to see how far that has come is kind of amazing. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't really like the silent movies too much. I need to like listen to something and see some action.
I know, man. We're a little past that era now.
On the screen, yeah, we're very past that.
It's like going back and watching the old CGI. Like, have you seen Jumanji, the original?
I have. And
when that came out, we're all shocked. Like, whoa! It's like those fake monkeys are totally real. And then you watch it now, and you're like, nah, they're totally fake. That's like bad. Worse than N64 graphics, man.
Yeah. And I think, even my favorite movie, Independence Day. All time Independence Day. I don't know if you guys like that, but
I saw it in the theaters. I enjoyed it when I saw it. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people like to hate on that movie now.
Of course. Well, I don't know anyone. Well, yeah, I've met people. Most people who have seen it, like when it came out, love the movie. But
nobody can deny it was better than the sequel.
Oh yeah, definitely. The sequel. Let's not even talk about that one. Let's erase that from history. And it's funny about the sequel. I just want to say too, for everybody, to share a laugh. The ending, which is so bad. It was just so bad. I had tears coming down my eye. I don't know if you remember watching the ending, where they're like, they destroyed the mother alien, and then they're like, hey guys, we just got word that they're planning an attack in some other solar system or some other galaxy, whatever. And
Yeah.
then the guy's like, really? Let's go. When do we sign up? When do we sign up? Let's go. I was like, man, what? This is terrible. It is terrible. And I'm sure it has to be funny for like people who are not American, like around the world, to see like, you know, these crazy Americans, you know, like just always so animated about violence, like going to save the world or something.
Oh man. You know, the major consumer of American films right now is China.
Yes.
And this is really fascinating because movies are one of the U.S.'s biggest exports after automotive parts, machinery, a couple other things, and then it's movies, Hollywood movies, and that is fascinating. That right now China is spending more money on American movies than, and I could be wrong about this, but it's eclipsing what Americans themselves are paying for.
Yeah, it's the second largest film market in the world. I think it's meant to surpass the U.S. by 2020 or something. They say China's going to surpass America in a lot of things by 2020, but yeah, man, it's kind of just like KFC, where there's like a movie theater like around every corner. Actually, if you look for it, and
so it's a weird era in filmmaking in the United States right now because they obviously have to satisfy the domestic market, but at the same time, they're essentially making movies for the Chinese. Yeah,
true. And it's crazy because like even Independence Day, I remember watching it, and you see like I think QQ like it popped up on there, and I think in the Justice League I saw QQ made a presence there. And you know, nowadays it's like someone searching on a computer. I even saw like Baidu search come up in some movie. You know, like what America's gonna be using Baidu search? You know, but like,
oh man, that would be mind blowing. If you don't know what Baidu is, it's kind of like Google but in China.
Yeah,
it's
Google,
a major Chinese search engine. Google is it's not really a thing in China. It's basically being
it's blocked.
It's blocked. Yeah, Google, YouTube, any Google property is blocked in mainland China.
Yeah. You know, going back to the movie stuff, it's crazy because I know that the American movie companies are trying their best to get into China. And I remember reading, I think on the Transformers, I forgot which one it came out. I think it was one in Hong Kong.
Yeah, they've made so many of those.
They made so many.
I lost track a long time ago.
Yeah. Those are movies you just put on in the background, don't even watch. You just like to hear the explosions or something. Yeah. But I remember like reading the article and it's saying like in the contract that they made, that they partnered with some Chinese organization. They said there must be like a Chinese actress and two Chinese actresses, and like they must talk to each other, like in the contract.
How interesting.
Know, that's crazy, right?
Do they have to talk about something besides a man?
Yeah. I don't know what the details were, but
what's that test called? When the Bechdel test? That's it. Where if there are two women in the film who talk to each other about something besides man, it passes the Bechdel test.
Really? There's a test for that?
Yeah, it's
Bechdel. I have to look that up.
Yeah, and apparently very few movies do. Very few movies include two women who speak to each other and have a conversation about something that isn't a man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, actually. Can you spell that for us? Bechdel?
Bechdel. It's the surname of some lady who was just making this observation. I don't know what her qualifications were or whatever, but she noticed there are very few movies where two women have a conversation at all, first of all, with each other. And if they do, most of the time they're talking about a man or a relationship or love or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was a full-blown study on it, actually. But I am surprised, though. One thing I did notice when I came out here about China's like film and TV industry, that there are a lot of films and TV shows that have predominantly women in lead roles.
Oh yeah.
You know, and multiple women as well who are kind of carrying the show or carrying the movie. And I think I didn't see that too much in the States, not as widespread as it is in China.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting when I first came out here.
Yeah, the film market in America is very driven by money, like box office history. Like this actor has a history of bringing in this level of income, and therefore, if we hire him, we will make that level of money again. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Or this type of movie has historically not done well, so we are not going to make that type of movie anymore.
Yeah.
Even though there's so many other variables in that equation.
Yeah. I wish China itself had threw out like a lot of the rules that it has and stipulations. Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome?
That
Wouldn't
would
it be
be
awesome to
amazing.
catch a real like a Bride of Chucky, like
Yeah.
in China? You know, that's one of my favorite like.
Did that one
horror
not come out in
movies.
China?
I hate it come out. They probably had like a happy toy or something. Even like the Xbox games, like Xbox, they just got officially allowed
Oh yeah.
in China maybe like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and like
Now you could buy an Xbox before that, but there was some weird stipulation about
Yeah.
not being able to
yeah
get them in legitimately or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. But even if you went to the store to buy the games out here, they were
Yeah.
all just kiddie games and all, non-violent.
Unless you went to that one shop in Shujiahui where you could buy the pirated games for like six.
Oh, really?
That's like $1 for an Xbox game.
Yeah.
But it was like under the counter type of thing.
Yeah. You got to order it from like Hong Kong or something, which I've done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be cool, man. It'd be cool to see The Conjuring, in China
Yeah.
or like some.
Yeah, they don't show a lot of horror films here. I really can't think of any that have made it to the theaters.
They don't show Western horror flicks here. They will show like maybe like some Japanese or Korean like
Yeah.
horror movies or local horror films. But honestly, I mean, no disrespect, but like they have nothing in comparison to like Western scary
Yeah.
movies. And I feel like most of the like scary films that I see like in China or throughout like East Asia are like they look like college, like student films.
Yeah.
Like student movies versus actual like
Yeah, and it's a whole
feature
different
films.
genre. I mean, I'm not a big fan of horror films, but I end up watching a lot of them because my wife loves horror films.
Yeah.
And she makes me watch them with her. And so I've seen a number of Asian horror films, and they tend to be a lot more subtle in,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like a
very
really
subtle.
subtle type of horror,
Very subtle.
whereas American is like in your face jump scares, blood and guts, and
Man, in your face, you're right. Like, what movie can I think of? I don't know. You seen some movies like one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you've seen Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. That's like my favorite like horror film.
yeah, what's that one about?
It's about this guy who goes to this hotel and he's being chased by this demon, and this demon is in the form of like a human though.
Yeah.
And he's trying to chase him and get this little caplet of like blood from like Jesus and
Oh, wow.
and stuff. And he's just trying to kill this guy, and the guy uses the blood to like block off like the doors and stuff in the house because the demon can't pass through it. And so the demon wants to
my.
kill the guy so much that he like sanctions the house and has all these demons trying to attack them and stuff like that. But meanwhile, the demon has like this mind control type of hypnosis type of ability. So
Yeah.
like every individual in the house, he can kind of persuade to join his demon side and like
Oh,
trying
wow.
to kill everybody else.
So it turns a little bit like The Evil Dead, where
Yeah, a
the
little
evil
bit. Yeah.
force starts taking people over.
Yeah. And it was just a cool movie. It's pretty violent. You see like them like some lady got turned into a demon.
Yeah.
And like she threw this guy up against the wall and like ripped out his like intestines
Oh,
and stuff,
man.
And
Oh, what a horrible way to go.
yeah, her tongue.
I've had 3 major intestinal surgeries in my life, and even under very controlled circumstances, that
Pretty
sucks.
bad, right? But I just in the Chinese theater you would never probably see that type of gory violence, So it would be cool though. I wish a lot of stuff from America would make it out. Even the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I wish that was like on TV out here.
Man, they do not like to see blood on television here. Like I was refereeing for this this Chinese fight show. It was the first all women's MMA show in China.
Yeah.
Heroin Fighting Championships, their inaugural event in Beijing. And so I'm reffing this fight. There are these 2 girls fighting, and they exchange some punches. One, her nose starts to bleed, and it's not a major issue. There's some blood coming out. She's not aspirating blood. She can breathe just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And people on the sidelines, the officials, start flipping out. Stop the fight! What are you doing? Stop the fight! I'm like, it's a bloody nose. Relax.
Yeah,
And they're like, stop the fight! And they like run in there and disrupt the action. And I'm like, what are you doing? And man, afterwards the officials come and start yelling at me like, you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. I'm like,
Wow.
what is the problem? Like,
Wow.
But man, it's because this event aired live on it aired live on television.
Right.
and they have such a strong aversion to seeing blood, whether real or fantasy or whatever, but they won't show that on television, and so they had to like cut the film or something like
really
that.
stop the whole
Yeah.
broadcast. I mean, you said it was 2 Chinese fighters?
Yes.
Because I've seen some violence and some blood on the TV, but I'm sure if it comes to like realistic like situations, yeah, they probably wouldn't show it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, especially like a fight situation or I guess yeah, you won't see like America's Most Wanted or something
yeah.
where like
Oh,
cops
man.
is shooting somebody and then the guys on the floor just bleed, something like that.
Yeah. Chinese cops, that would be an interesting show if that existed, man.
Oh, that would be so. Oh man, I would sign up. I don't care if it was Chinese or whatever. No English subtitles. I would watch that daily.
Oh, man.
Please,
Chinese
someone put
cops.
that out. Please, someone put that out. I would love to see
man.
that. There's so much craziness.
Chinese
going
police are
on
way
inside.
different than American police. When I first got here, when I lived in America, I was quite frankly scared of the police. I mean, they exercise their authority at a drop of the hat. They're armed.
Yeah.
They have quotas to fill.
Yeah.
So if you give them trouble, they will arrest you. You know, they'll and
Over policing sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. But in China though, it's like the police in one way are more like helpful, friendly Boy Scouts. They don't carry weapons except maybe a billy club. Most of them aren't that big or scary or intimidating looking or anything like that. But man, when people mess with the cops, it gets interesting here.
Yeah. But you know, it's both sides though, because I've seen like there's some videos that you see where like people like I don't know why. I guess because they don't have guns and stuff, and the cops are generally nice, but the people will fight the cops.
Yeah.
You know, and like I've seen videos where the cops have struck the person back, even knocking them out.
Yeah.
But I've also seen videos where the cops just didn't do anything at all. And
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
multiple cops there, like letting some old like IE just like
Oh,
swing
man.
at them or something.
I think
or
I know
give
the
them
exact
a-
video you're talking about.
Yeah,
The old
yeah.
lady fighting the cop, and he's just taking it like, just leave me alone.
Yeah. I think that video, it was a young guy too. Like he
Yeah.
didn't look too old though in that video. But
It's a confusing situation, though, especially if you're an unarmed police officer and you're being attacked by an older woman. Like, what do you do? Fight back? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way to win in that situation, really.
yeah, and it's just crazy because they have the ability to do it actually. But I think in their society, like people are more just friendly to each other, and especially if the person's older, like in that video, that case
Yeah.
was, they're probably just not going to do anything. But you probably, if the person in the video was older, though, if the police officer was older, he probably would have detained her. I think. Yeah. Probably would have
And-
detained her.
I don't know if you saw that one video. Our buddy Jordan Chow posted it on our chat group that we have going on, and there's this guy. He tries to. He's in a van or something, and he like hits one of the cops and tries to drive away. And so they run over, punch out his window, pull him through the broken window.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I did. I think that was in Shanghai, actually, on the East
looked like
Nanjing Road.
Shanghai, yeah.
I think it was East Nanjing Road. And,
But I think some people, they get this idea, oh, the police, they're not that big of a deal. They don't have weapons. We're not scared of them, so we can do whatever we want. And then they realize, that's not always the case.
It's funny, too, because, you know, like Shanghai, for instance, I just like started to not just, but like they started cracking down on like people driving illegally.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so you see a lot of police officers out now handing out tickets.
Yeah.
And stuff. And again, we're going back. I've seen the case. I'm sure you've probably seen it too, where like the foreigners are kind of like running a red light and they drive right past the cop, and the cop kind of like chases them down and stops them on a bike, kind of aggressively, you know. But in my situation, I've been stopped maybe several times.
Yeah.
And every time I've been stopped, it's usually just like a nice police officer, and they have these rehearsed lines like you must obey China's traffic laws. They always say that.
Yeah.
And but they're generally nice. They don't give me any kind of
Oh,
problem.
yeah, they don't pull out their sticks and threaten to beat you with them.
Yeah. They're not like, oh man, you you curse, right? Anyway, you effing foreigners, y'all in here, go back to your country or something like that. You know, it's no problems like that. It's like, hey, you got 20 R&B fine. Here you go. get your scooter registered. All right, keep it moving, keep it pushing.
Oh man, I had an experience when they first passed the scooter registration law here in Shanghai. You have to get a license plate for your scooter now. You didn't before.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware of this, so I'm at the corner, and there are a bunch of cops checking license plates, and I didn't have one because they just passed the law. And one of them grabs the back of my scooter, and I didn't realize it was a cop. I'm like, somebody's trying to jack my scooter, and so I started driving away because this has actually happened to me before. I was riding down the road, and a guy ran out and grabbed my scooter and tried to pull me off of it, and I had to kick him off and drive off. So I'm thinking this is happening again.
A normal guy? What was he doing?
I don't know, man. I think he's trying to take my scooter.
Why you ignoring it? It's bold.
So I'm trying to like drive away and like kick this police officer off, like get off me, not realizing he's a cop, and he's a pretty strong guy, and he actually pulls the scooter to a stop, and he jumps out in front of me, holds out his hand like, halt, young man. And I'm like, whoa, it's a cop. Where'd you come from? Now, if this was America, I'm pretty sure he would have whipped out the baton and started beating or something. But yes,
tase you while you were riding the bike.
Oh, yeah. Guns might have come out as well at some point. But
yeah.
In China, it was just like, let me give you a stern warning right there. Now get yourself a license plate.
Yeah. And that's why you can love being in China. It's more laid back. You don't have to worry about stuff like that too much.
Yeah.
But when it comes to stuff like that, yeah, for sure. I think because I've seen there's like the local policemen who wear like the blue shirts and black pants or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you have like the policemen who wear like the all black.
Yeah.
Like the type you see at the airport kind of a little bit. When you go
Yeah,
through the metal
they have
detectors.
different types of policemen here.
Yeah, those are probably like the more aggressive ones though, in my experience that I've seen. The ones who like don't play and like you don't really want to mess around with
the
those.
counter-terrorist groups, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually ended up training a group of those guys up in Jiangsu province. I went over there to train at a Sanda camp there with my old judo coach, and the gym I was training at every afternoon, they call them the counter-terrorist police.
Yeah.
They're the ones who actually know how to fight, and the aggressive type you're talking about, they wear the black shirts.
Yeah.
So these guys would come in the afternoon to train, and by surprise they said, "Oh, look, we have a special guest coach from America who's going to teach you some MMA techniques." And I was thinking, okay, I'll show them like some takedowns,
Basic
arm
stuff.
bars, or something like that. But here's what they actually meant. What they meant was they are all going to spar with you, full contact. One at a time. And as soon as I realized that, my friend's like, it's okay, you're good at fighting, you can handle this. These guys are, Sanda, it's full contact kung fu, basically, punches, kicks, takedowns. And, these guys are all young, healthy, athletic, and they're all coming at me throwing live punches and kicks. I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
So I just shoot in for the takedown, get on them, choke them as quick as I can, because, they're on their feet, they're dangerous. They really are.
They're usually larger too.
Yeah.
They're usually larger and more heavy set.
These guys were all
Taller.
bigger than me.
Yeah.
But none of them, rudimentary jiu-jitsu, none of them had any concept of it. So thankfully.
So what were
Man, I
they?
was
What
able
were
to
they using
handle
against
myself
you
there.
then? Like what were they? It was just kung fu.
They were trying to kick my head off, man. But my friend, he had so much confidence in me because, he trained with me before, and to him, like, rudimentary jiu-jitsu was like magic to him. It was like, man, this is so amazing. You can stop a fight within seconds with a choke. You're magical. You're Superman. You can handle this. And I sparred with like 12 guys, like everybody in this counter-terrorist police unit. And afterward, I come up to my friend. He's like, see, I told you could do it. I'm like, never do that to me again.
Hey, but let's keep it real, Ramsey. Let's keep it real. You must have felt so happy about yourself for taking out a whole Chinese like SWAT team or something,
Oh, man.
you must have gave yourself a pat on the back when you got home, for sure.
Fortunately, I was lucky enough to avoid those punches because they were swinging at me. We were not wearing gloves or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was in the ring?
Just out on an open mat over the Sunda gym.
Oh, wow.
And man.
Did you at least get paid for
no, no, I did not, man.
Man.
But
they're tough though. They're tough though.
Guys.
They're tough
yeah,
though.
These guys, some of them were just ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I used to train when I was in Quinshan. When I first started MMA training, there was a Chinese gentleman who was I don't know the specific name of that type of policeman, but he was doing that, and he was showing us just how to counter knife attacks.
Yeah.
because that's what they deal with. You know, the public squares like Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for that type of stuff if you're a policeman. And so he was showing us, you know, what would you do? What would you do? And the first time he gave us like a little plastic knife, whatever, rubber knife that they use.
Yeah.
And the first time he said, just swing at me, just do whatever you want. And the very first time I took a swing, all he did was just like kick me in my balls. That's all he did. And he said that's kind of like the number one thing you just go for. That's the number one thing you don't go for. You don't go for a one punch type of deal. You just keep going at it as much as you can, as much as you can get off.
That actually makes a lot more sense than trying to control the knife. Because, man, in my experience, trying to disarm people with knives, you get slashed a lot. You get stabbed a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the least number of times I've been stabbed and slashed in that type of drill is like 16, and that's from a completely untrained person.
Wow.
With one exception, but that's a whole different story. But
yeah, it seemed like it would be really hard to really just stop somebody from, if they really wanted to stab you, you know, just stopping somebody from doing that, you know. As a matter of fact, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Before in Shanghai, actually, you know, just keep going off the subject. Somebody, a local Chinese guy, I think maybe from Western China, tried to stab me.
Really?
Before. Yeah. Man, it was a while ago, but I remember I was just late out one night. I was a new teacher that I was working with and showing him around Shanghai.
Yeah.
And we just left Jing'an, matter of fact, and we were just about to go back to Kunshan, the city I was staying at. And I was like, man, let me just show you this little bar street, you know, just right around
downtown in Jing'an.
Yeah, just right. I think it was Huashan Road. He's like, okay, cool. So we walked down the street, and mind you, this day before, we were just talking about how some things in China annoy us. You know, you get to China and some things you're just not used to, and it seems like it's on a daily basis. You know, kind of fed up sometimes. You got to figure out how to release it. We were just talking about this, and we were walking down the street, minding our own business, and it was a guy who maybe seemed like he was homeless or, you know, drugged out or alcohol or some whatever. He held out some items for us to buy.
Yeah.
And we just said no. No, we don't want any, whatever. And we kept walking, and then he turned around. The guy turned around. He's wearing a cast, an arm cast, and he turned around. And he was like, "Fuck you!" Just randomly, "Fuck you!" You know. And
said this in English?
Yeah, in English,
okay.
loud too. And
wow.
I was still kind of fresh from the States. It was like my first half a year there, first year there.
Yeah.
And I was like just 25 or whatever. And then I turned around and I went and got in his face, like, what the fuck? What the hell did you just say? You know, blah, 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 blah. You know, and he looked kind of scared, you know, and kind of backed down. And then I turned around. And then right when I turned around, he pulled out a little pocket knife from his cast. And he started swinging at me. And I tried to stab me. He was like swinging at my head, not even like body shots or whatever. He's swinging at my head. And I just remember I had a backpack. We just got a Jing'an Temple. And if you know in Jing'an Temple, there's like a little supermarket in the subway station. Yeah. And I had a bag full of groceries, and I turned it around and like was trying to block the attack, whatever. My friend was trying to call the police until they got to stop.
That's smart. Put something in between you and the weapon.
Yeah. That's the first thing I could think of. But I do also remember I gave him a little front kick to his thigh to push him back. That was like just the only thing I could think of. It wasn't like a smooth full front kick, but it was good enough to do the job. And but eventually he didn't get me, and he was just like kind of toying with me and playing around with me after a while. And then he found a big like 40-ounce bottle of beer on the curb, and he picked that up with one hand. It had a knife in the other hand. He was like threatening me and stuff. And then eventually he threw the bottle at me, and like I blocked it with my finger, and it shattered and everything. And as soon as he did that though, I got really angry. I didn't carry that knife. I like dropped my bag and like dug into my bag to pull out some jars of salsa that I had. I was like, man, I'm gonna get this guy, whatever, how about I'm gonna get him. I had salsa in there, so I pulled it out. But as soon as I like dropped my bag and put my hand in there, he just immediately turned around and ran. I think he thought I had a weapon or something.
Oh,
and then,
interesting.
Yeah. So I gave chase to him and everything. And like if
it was extra spicy, man, that gets you guys. That's a weapon.
Exactly. It's like pepper spray, you know. I threw both jars at him, but he was like across the street, and I missed. I was just angry because I missed, you know. But he got away. And so that was that story, you know. But that was a only ever knife attack situation I had. Man. But and I remember that too because we want to talk about this. I do capoeira,
yeah,
you know. And I remember at that time before I came to China, I was doing capoeira for like a year and a half, and I was still practicing on my own. And the only reason I think I did that front kick is because I do practice capoeira. You know, everybody expects these flashy kicks and everything.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't Meilua him in a, you know, he got a knife coming at me.
That takes a lot of room and a good setup.
Yeah. And even you got to aim for the knife, you know, perfectly.
But yeah, the front kick, that's one of those capoeira techniques that most people don't really think of because they're so used to seeing all the acrobatic stuff. But I remember I went to this batizado that they were having for a friend of mine, and you know, the coach, he's sparring with everybody, and they're trying to show the coach their best moves or whatever, and then he just like front kicks them onto their butts at the end of the session. It's like, well, that seems like the most effective move of all right there.
Yeah. You know, there's a big debate. You know, I guess any martial art, everybody thinks of just like the fancy stuff that you do. Besides, you know, jiu-jitsu or something, but you know, capoeira still has its basic kicks, and I think it has like every kick that taekwondo has. Yeah, actually, but you know, even those straight kicks or just a side kick or a spinning back kick that are kind of fairly simple, it's a capoeira kick as well. So don't expect all these like fancy crazy stuff to do in a fight or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting thing about kicking. There, you could subdivide every type of kick into 6 or 7 basic types of kicks, even less if you want to get really nitpicky. And the only difference between those 6 or 7 basic kicks and all of the fancy, crazy kicks you can possibly dream up of is a level change, an air moment, a leap, a spin, a jump, a hop. Just add one of those elements to it, and suddenly it's a fancy kick.
Yeah. Capoeira has plenty of them.
Oh, yeah. Especially the level changes.
Yeah.
That's really what sets it apart visually, I think.
Yeah. And, you know, still, martial art hidden in the dance as well. So that's the main thing that people gravitates towards, you know. But I love it, man. I love it.
I've been getting so many questions about capoeira lately on my YouTube channel from subscribers who wanted me to make a video about capoeira, and I did make one where I talked about it. But one of the reasons I invited Donovan on the podcast today is to talk specifically about capoeira.
Yeah. I love capoeira. I love it.
So what got you started in capoeira?
What got me started? Okay, so when I was young, my mother I have 3 brothers and a sister, and my mother kind of exposed it to us when we were younger. I vaguely remember that, but I remember having some exposure to it. Yeah. But it wasn't until I was in college, man. I was in college, and I was on a road trip going to some conference or whatever. We were all on a shuttle bus, and someone popped in this movie, Tony Jaa's The Protector.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You seen that movie?
I have.
Yeah. Someone popped in that movie, and I remember watching that infamous scene where they're in that burning temple, and then he's fighting this capoeirista, and like the capoeirista is doing all this.
That's such a cool scene.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite all-time martial arts scenes like ever. And I remember just watching that scene and just being completely amazed. Like, wow, you know, that's really cool. Like, I like the dance, you know, I like the martial arts, and I like acrobatics. And so, like, in that one scene, it had everything. It had all of that. Oh, yeah. And, you know, especially just if you could do, like, acrobatics as you're fighting, I think that's just, like, the coolest thing, like, ever. You know, if you could do, like, some B-boy stuff as you're, like, whooping somebody's ass or something like that, that would be really cool. And, you know, that's why I like a Drunken Master as well with Jackie Chan. Yeah. You know, when he's fighting kind of drunk and just moving kind of to the side. I think it's pretty cool to learn some stuff like that. So I saw that scene, and then fast forward a couple of years later, I graduated from college, and I was a manager of this after school program in LA, and it was a homework tutoring and enrichment program, and my company had I didn't know this, but my company had signed up for a Capoerista to come teach the kids for our enrichment activity.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it just came full circle, and he was teaching the kids. I was like, wow, this is really cool, you know. And then on the last day, he had a small hoda with the students. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna go join and check out you guys' classes. And then it was from there on, man. It was from there on. I just went to Capoeira Batuque in Los Angeles, and I trained under Master Aman Santos, which is I don't know if you've seen Only the Strong.
I still haven't seen that. Everybody
You haven't
keeps
seen it?
saying
Oh,
you
man.
gotta see Only the Strong. It's
You
like
gotta
the
see
only
it.
Capoeira movie out there.
Yeah. It's the only Capoeira movie where like the guy wins.
Yeah.
Actually, but my master is the master in that movie that's teaching the
Okay.
gentleman. So I was like, this is cool,
I did see this old Brazilian film. It was called O Pagador do Promessas, the Keeper of Promises. It's an old black and white film. It's religiously themed, but there is a capoeira scene.
Yeah.
Or a couple of them actually.
Okay.
Um,
It's just
yeah,
like
it's-
randomly thrown in there.
well, it just shows some people having a hoda out in the streets, and they're doing their dance fight thing,
Yeah.
and it showcases that a bit. And it's one of the few cases, especially that time period, that capoeira was actually shown on film. So
Yeah, it hasn't been shown in. Like I want to. Well, yes, okay. You got Only the Strong, but I would like to see a full movie like
Yeah.
dedicated to it. There was another movie. I forgot the name of it. I think it starts with a B. But it was based in Brazil. But it wasn't solely a capoeira movie. But I would love to see more capoeira used
yeah.
in movies and
mean,
in the
it's-
UFC or any kind of.
It's
league.
such a fantastic film for or martial art for film, I would say. But I'll tell you why we see like the same type of fight choreography over and over. Basically, this stylized kung fu that comes out of Hollywood films for the most part. It's because fight choreographies, fight stuntmen, it's a union. They're unionized.
Okay.
And so they have this long tradition of this is how it's done. This is the way movie fight choreography is. So anytime somebody wants to do something new or different, they're like, no, you can't bring anybody non-union into this. And so, showcasing something like capoeira or Brazilian jiu-jitsu or just something that isn't that movie kung fu style or whatever it is just really, really hard to get
Yeah.
into Hollywood.
Yeah, well, I think, but I think I think a friend was saying this, like a lot of the people who do the choreography though don't know any capoeira as well.
Yeah.
So that's also another reason why, So
Oh yeah. But it's just such a perfect fit for the movies, and with that Tony Jaa movie, since again it's not a Hollywood film, it's a movie made over in Thailand, and Tony Jaa is just a fan of cool looking martial arts, so
Yeah.
obviously he's going to include that in his movies.
Yeah.
So man, that was fantastic to see.
And it sucks though, the background for that scene actually, because of course I wanted that scene to go longer. And I didn't want the guy to be defeated so easily, But so I went on YouTube and researched it. They said that guy, Lateef Crowder, he actually broke his ankle, like
Oh really?
in that scene. Like he does like a back flip and a front flip, and he broke his ankle then.
Oh.
And so he couldn't continue because that scene was supposed to be way longer. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but after he does that, he does a macaco to go back and does a kick. But they changed the guy. Actually, so if you watch that scene again, it's two different guys.
It's a stunt man for the stunt man.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the backup. but yeah, I would love to have seen that. And I've seen capoeira in some other TV series, like in Luke Cage, season 2. Actually, like the villain,
yeah?
he does capoeira.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes of Luke Cage season 2. Man, I've been trying to catch up on all the Marvel TV shows.
Yeah, well, you should have saw the capoeira then. I think it was like the first episode or the
Was it?
second episode. Yeah. The guy, he gets shot in that little room,
Yeah.
whatever. They're all shooting at him, and
Gonna
he's
have to
like,
go back and rewatch it, man.
yeah, he's doing capoeira to take him out for sure. You'll notice that.
Man, awesome.
But yeah, man. I do love doing capoeira. I still believe it's my favorite martial art, and I still believe that's one of the best martial arts because it's a culture.
Yeah.
It's not just a martial art. You learn singing, you learn dancing, you learn acrobatics. It is a martial art. You could travel to Brazil, learn the culture there, learn Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's like a holistic approach to martial arts versus just direct
Yeah.
physical combat.
That's really interesting how you mentioned it's not just a martial art, it's a culture. And there are a few martial arts, I would say, that are very much like that. Like Muay Thai, for example, as it's taught and learned in Thailand, is very much a culture.
Yeah.
the way you might experience it at an American
States.
gym, not so much. It's punching and kicking and dropping elbows and whatever. But in Thailand, it's a culture. It's also the dance and the music.
Yeah.
Every fight begins with an epic dance battle, and I really think that's something that more martial arts should do.
Yeah, I actually like that Muay Thai. You can hear it in the JX Fight Club as well. But every gym I've been to out here on this side of the planet where they do Muay Thai, they're always like screaming as they punch.
Yeah.
And even if you see some people spar, the people on the sidelines watching the fight, like do it for the person that's kicking somebody.
Yeah.
I just like that whole kind of culture.
Have you ever been to Thailand?
I have been to Thailand. But I didn't watch a Muay Thai fight there,
man.
but I've been to Thailand.
You got to go back and watch the fights at Lumpini Stadium or one of those other big ones, and like every time they clinch up and they throw the knees, especially in the fifth round, oh man, the audience is just electorate. So
Yeah, I love
things
that.
like
I love that.
Yeah.
And all right, so back to Capoeira.
Yeah.
Is it the most effective martial art?
Yeah, this is what people are probably angrily typing in the comments right now as they're listening. Capoeira is not effective.
Yeah, what are you
Nobody
talking about?
uses that in the UFC or whatever.
Is it the most effective art? I would say no. And that's of course not. I would say that, but you want to do like jiu-jitsu, you want to do even Muay Thai or Krav Maga or how do you say Krav Maga, right? One of those martial arts. If you're looking strictly for like self-defense and for like to compete in MMA or something like that. But Capoeira still is a martial arts. Don't sit there and laugh at it like saying, oh, it's just a dance. You're not learning anything. No, you learn, like I said, maybe every kick that you can do in Taekwondo, doing Capoeira. And we do sweeps as well, takedowns and everything. And the cool thing is that just like jiu-jitsu, like you learn some sequences.
Yeah.
Right? You learn go for a takedown, you go into side control, you chop one arm, you go for the Americano on the other arm.
Yeah.
Capoeira used to be banned in Brazil. It was outlawed in the streets because it was a lot of violent gangs, using it, and the slaves used to use it against the former colonizers and stuff. So it was banned, and eventually they made a Master Bimba started making it more of like an academy type martial art. We can go learn sequences and dress in white and have batizados and stuff like that. So you do also learn sequences in Capoeira, which makes it even more fun and even more practical and stuff like that, just like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, the grappling aspect of Capoeira, I've seen it. A lot of people haven't, though. They see the big spinning kicks and the acrobatics and whatnot, but a lot of people, they never get exposed to the grappling aspect, the takedowns and the ground fighting.
Yeah. And some of those are even fancy as well. But, just there's regular simple stuff that you can do to take somebody down in Capoeira. You can go in and just wrap your arm just around their hips and buck their leg and push them back. That's a typical sweep. There is no arm drags and arm pulls or anything like that. But then you got like tesouros where which we should practice in the class as well. Yeah. It's like a scissor takedown where like I'm sure you've seen this before, where you kind of wrap your legs around your opponent and just like kind of fall back, grab their shoulder and just like fall back.
Okay, yeah. Like leg scissors.
Yeah. That's a popular takedown in Capoeira as well. So it's very versatile. It's a lot of different stuff that you can use.
My own experience with Capoeira, I started in a Capoeira club in college.
Yeah.
And, it was a lot of fun. I got to say, the main reason that I was doing Capoeira in college was fun. I mean, I was a member of a bunch of different martial arts clubs, Taekwondo and what else did we do? Shotokan Karate, this Budo Shin Jiu-Jitsu class, which kind of sucked, but I didn't know that at the time. and also Capoeira, because I was also available, and it was a lot of fun. And I realized very quickly, this is something that is going to make me a better athlete. And something I still believe to this day, anything that makes you a better athlete makes you a better fighter.
Yeah.
And not just that, it teaches you how to move, and teaches you how to move in 3 dimensions. And that is severely lacking in the modern world.
Yes.
Like the average person, I would say, is kinesthetically retarded, meaning they don't know how to move. I mean, they think they do, but what do we do most of the time? We stand up, we sit down, we lie down, we sit in a chair, we watch TV, we type on a keyboard. That's not a lot of movement. We
Yeah.
don't know how to move our core. There's no head-tail connection.
Yeah.
We lack flexibility. And so, again, capoeira is such a great way to develop kinesthetic bodily intelligence.
Yeah.
So even if you never throw a meia lua and compasson or something like that in a fight, if you are able to do that, you're going to be more able to move and intelligently defend yourself, I would say.
Yeah, and it's great because you just reminded me of some other things I wanted to point out. Like the main capoeira move is the jinga,
Yeah.
you know, and that's where all the kinesthetic like movements pretty much come from. All the kicks come from and everything sweeps, and that movement alone. If you guys have ever seen the jinga or whatever, just try it for 5 minutes straight, and you will be like exhausted. You will be exhausted. Your back will hurt. Your body will feel pretty sore, you know. But the great thing is about it is that it does keep you in shape. You use your abs for it, and it's an attack stance, pretty much. And you know, it strengthens
Basically
your
that
thighs.
basic step, rock side to side, back and forth, shift your weight.
Yeah. And it's good, especially for maybe like boxers or people like kickboxers or even people who do Muay Thai, you know, because it's the footwork is incredible for capoeira. And actually, you know, I'm a southpaw now, but I didn't start off that way. I swear to God, when I started doing capoeira, for some reason, I just changed to a southpaw.
Okay.
I don't know how that works.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed?
Right-handed. Okay, I did not know that because Donovan fights. He fights southpaw. He's been training in my gym for a while, and he fights like a natural southpaw.
Yeah, it was just capoeira. Started training capoeira, just switch gears.
So it wasn't until now that I knew he was right-handed. I just assumed he was left-handed. And a lot of people have been asking me this specific question, like, is it okay to switch stances? Like, if you're right-handed, can you fight southpaw? And the answer is yeah. I mean, a lot of famous fighters have done that. Like Mike Tyson, he was he was left-handed, but his coach
naturally left-handed.
He was naturally left-handed. He fought orthodox though, so he had his power hand in the lead. A lot of people don't know that. Who else? Ronda Rousey, she was left-handed, but she fought orthodox.
Yeah. But you know, I still
not the greatest example of striking, but yeah, she grappling. Yeah.
Holly Holmes. That was a crazy fight.
Yeah.
So in that stance too, I'm more comfortable in this stance, but like for instance, I still don't feel comfortable throwing like a left-legged kick. Though, like I'll have to switch over to like a normal stance. I feel more comfortable throwing the right leg and stuff. So it's got to balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, for me, starting out in Taekwondo, that was my first martial art. Getting used to sticking to one stance throughout the entirety of the fight was the hardest thing for me, because in Taekwondo you're constantly switching stance. Because the footwork is so different than many other martial arts, specifically because you're always switching the power leg. You're switching position. You're switching the position of your lead foot relative to your opponent to get off the center line or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's such a radically different footwork theory from boxing or kickboxing or Muay Thai. So when I first took a boxing class, and they're like, just pick a stance and stick to it, damn it. It was like, oh, that's so weird. Why would I do that? But no, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
But yeah, back then I felt like I'm ambidextrous, but not really.
It helps to learn the different stances too, because like for the takedowns, especially if you really love jiu-jitsu, you know, like I guess most people would stand in the orthodox stance, you know, and but you know, people occasionally switch. You got to know how to take down someone's leg, like just from both stances. Or something like that. And
here's another interesting thing. Most right-handed wrestlers have their right leg in the lead. And so, you know, Michael Holbert, the wrestling coach, he's right-handed, but he fights southpaw because of his wrestling background. He's so used to having his right side in the lead. When he started learning striking, it just felt natural to be in that southpaw stance because that's where he wrestles from. It's kind of weird how that works in wrestling. The normal orthodox stance is the polar opposite of boxing, and we'll see that with a lot of UFC fighters. I think, I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but look for it. They're out there, lots of them.
Yeah. I guess for that as well, like the southpaw stance. I guess that's why I usually go for double-legged takedowns, because it's easier for me to shoot in with someone's like their leg is already right there. because they're standing in orthodox. It's easy for me to shoot in that
Oh
way.
yeah, that's starting to make sense because you've caught me with a lot of double legs.
Yeah. Or I mean, single legs I don't go for too much, but yeah.
Now I know your secret. Now I know how to shut it down. All right.
Well,
That's why it keeps happening. I can't believe I didn't put that together before.
Yeah, man. You gotta
How does he keep
calculate
double legging me, man? It all makes sense. But yeah, another thing about capoeira that is absolutely great for mixed martial arts specifically is the level changes. I mean, level changes are such a big thing in mixed martial arts because one of the most important facets of mixed martial arts is bridging the gap between striking and grappling. And that bridge is the level change. And in capoeira, you are constantly changing levels, including the basic step, the jingai. It's a level change, and then another one, and then another one.
Yeah.
You throw a move like the meia lua, there's a level change right there. Your upper body comes down to the level of your opponent's leg.
Yeah.
And so one of my favorite combinations is throw the meia lua as a fake, basically. Get their attention up high so that your body is now down low so you can ankle pick them.
Yeah.
And, when you pull that off, people stare at you like you're a wizard, like, how? Well, your leg was up here and then your hand was down there. And it's like, it's just a simple level change. I mean, yeah, there's a spin, so it looks fancy, but it's just a simple level change at the end of the day.
And as a matter of fact, I have seen Ramsey pull that one off, actually. And I've tried to pull it off now that he's taught me that one as well. And it is kind of effective.
Super effective when you practice it a lot. That's the thing. You just got to practice these things again and again at various stages of resistance.
Yeah. And especially those level changes, because it does become a little bit harder once you're throwing a kick or something with those level changes to actually hit directly on a target, which is why, of course, like for instance, doing a meia lua, the spinning kick, you need to always keep your eye on your opponent as you're doing all these capoeira kicks.
Yeah.
So that's what we trained with as well. And that's what kind of help us focus. And, I guess it's the same as some boxer just hitting the bag. Not the bag, I forgot what it's called. The smaller bags.
Speed bag?
Not the speed bag.
The double end?
I think so. That's on the string and it's like a small target.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's the same just like that. So we practice that a lot, just looking at your opponent and making sure you can see them as you throw those crazy fancy kicks. During a level change,
I think a lot of the people who ask, is capoeira effective in fighting? They want to see a guy with a pure capoeira background who's only ever done capoeira and nothing else go out there and win a UFC fight. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see a few video clips of some guys out there with a capoeira background in MMA fights, knocking people out once in a while.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing right now, just recently, I forget the fighter, but he did an up kick from the floor, a rising round kick from the floor, the martelo, the suelo, or whatever you call that. I don't remember all the Portuguese terms now. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But scored that up kick. Now, he wasn't a capoeira trained fighter, but that is a capoeira technique.
Yeah.
And so people are starting to catch on, hey, some of this actually is really useful.
Yeah. Just like, so we talked about George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
Right? Very athletic guy. And I remember watching, I think, a UFC embed, and he said, like, the key to his game is practicing, like, gymnastics or something. That's what he does a lot. And, I saw the embed. He's doing all this crazy, like, training for gymnastics and stuff like that. But the whole point is to be more agile and more, like, athletic and stuff like that. So George St. Pierre, if he practiced capoeira, would be even more of a beast. In the ring, because he would get that athleticism, and I'm sure he'll be able to pull off all the kicks.
I think he'd be a lot more loose and relaxed as well.
Exactly.
And he's already a phenomenal athlete in every regard. But
exactly.
Man, just imagine that guy more fluid.
Yeah. He already has the striking. He already has the ground game. Like if he had just capoeira to the mix, it'd be crazy. And plus he could pull off some fancy stuff. To add more of a legacy to his name, So Anderson Silva practiced capoeira. He said what he did. He was a UFC champ for 13 consecutive fights or something like that.
Long time.
Yeah. Conor McGregor, I think, practiced a little bit of capoeira, and maybe a lot of the Brazilian fighters probably have some background in capoeira as well. But they're usually like some of the most like agile and like athletic people like in MMA.
Speaking of Conor McGregor, I've got to ask you this. So there are like 3 or 4 capoeira techniques that I'll always teach in MMA class because I find them super useful. One of which is the meia lua.
Mm-hmm.
And when Conor McGregor started becoming famous, when I would teach that technique, I always hear the new kids in the class say, "Hey, it's the Conor McGregor kick." And I'm like, "What? No, that exists. Come on, man. This kick predates Conor McGregor by hundreds of years, man."
Oh, he's doing Jenga. Oh, he started this new art form. Huh?
No, man. So I gotta ask you, how do you feel about that, man?
That's bad. First of all, whoever thinks like that needs to do your history. Conor McGregor is not the face of capoeira by any means at all. Although I'm sure most capoeiristas are glad that he, using his exposure to put it out there. But come on, man, like, and that was only 2 things that he did, So I like that he's showing it off. I like that he's, was intimidating Floyd Mayweather with it. I think a little bit during the conferences and stuff. But do your research. Do your research. Capoeira has a long history from Africa to Brazil to worldwide, So make sure you follow up on that. Respect to Conor McGregor, but no.
Yeah, one thing that guy does though, I'm not sure if you're familiar with McGregor's movement coach, Ido Portal. He's one of the few fighters, at least was, who had a movement coach. And Ido Portal puts him through these movement drills, which are really similar to modern or contemporary dance drills. And when I first started watching stuff, I mean, I've got a college degree in modern dance. I used to dance professionally, and I watched Ido Portal and Conor moving. I was like, this is like stuff we do in dance technique classes in college, like, and everybody's like, this is the next big thing that's going to make you a better fighter. I was scratching my head a little bit like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, because you got to learn how to move, and anything that makes you a better athlete, like I said, makes you a better fighter.
Yeah.
And anything that increases your kinesthetic bodily intelligence makes you a better fighter too. So yeah.
That's why every MMA fighter should incorporate some capoeira into their routine, for sure.
Or at the very least dance.
Or dance, yeah, as well.
Man, what's his name? This new up-and-coming fighter. I'm blanking on the name, though, but he gave an interview a while back where he said he does ballet now.
UFC fighter?
Yeah, he's like one of the top contenders in, I'm thinking, lightweight division. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, he does ballet. Mm-hmm. And apparently he's pretty good at it, but and people are confused, like, what, a big tough guy doing ballet?
Yeah. But you know what, man, so out here, or most gyms, the Terra Wellness gym, like they have like the body gym class. I don't know if you ever taken any of those type of classes at the gym, but man, it just feels so good. Like after those classes, you feel really loose.
Those group exercise classes?
Yeah. You feel really loose. You feel like you've worked out some part of your body that you haven't used in a while, and you definitely feel more. You have more agility and can move around more, like, which is perfect for like boxing or any kind of stand-up, martial art or something like that. So, yeah, I would. The movement is very important for sure.
Oh, absolutely,
for sure.
I don't follow football at all, especially not college football. But when I went to Brigham Young University, that's where I studied, and while I was there back in 1996. Lavelle Edwards, he was the coach, and BYU had the #1 college football team in the United States at the time that year. And one thing Lavelle Edwards did, he enrolled all of the football players in ballet classes.
Huh.
And a lot of people would laugh, like, they're
big football players.
Exactly, but they were winning. When they did that, they were winning.
Yeah.
And, correlation is not causation, but, there is a link there. I absolutely believe there's a link.
But in regards to ballet, though, like, it's not. Well, I guess I haven't seen like a full ballet performance.
Yeah.
When I think of ballet, I think of just standing on your big toes, a lot of stretching, hardcore stretching, a lot of twirls. But as far as just movement, that's useful for like a football player or MMA,
it's way different. It's way different, and like the movement quality between capoeira and ballet, it's polar opposite. Ballet is a very resistant movement quality. It's resisting gravity. It's lifting yourself up. It's engaging all these muscles constantly to give the illusion that you're floating. And then capoeira is a lot more like modern dance, which is the opposite. It's indulgent movement. It's giving into gravity. It's rising and falling, and capitalizing on potential energy by collapsing at specific moments.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more like mixed martial arts in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, ballet, the stretching alone, for ballet should be incorporated into MMA. But I don't know. I guess I just haven't seen enough ballet though to still know what's useful.
Yeah,
for
classical ballet. It's one of those things the average person just doesn't say, hey, let's go to the classical ballet this weekend. I mean, once in a while, people do it to try to feel cultured, but it's not like the entertainment that it used to be 500 years ago.
This is still a big audience for a big sect.
It's a different kind of audience. I mean, I used to dance professionally with a few different ballet companies, and it's unless you're like in one of the premier companies in the country or wherever you live, which I wasn't. It was more like a lower tier ballet company.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make a living doing that. I mean, I basically made a paycheck around Christmas time when we put on the Nutcracker, because that's one people know, and it's a Christmas tradition. Yeah. But the rest of the year, it's like...
what else is going on?
We don't know that. We're not going to go see it. So...
Well, gotta get on YouTube, man. Just do some... Yeah. Oh, there you go. You gotta make some performances on YouTube. Or you do some solo acts or something, or some dance partner, some hot young chick that you can do ballet with, and then the money will come in. Right.
That's
there.
What I need. I need a dance partner.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me think. I do have a couple of dance videos up on my my YouTube account, but nobody watches them, man. Nobody watches my dance stuff.
I've seen some of your dance stuff just in your introductory video on your page. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the narration voice.
Oh yeah.
I'm a Mormon.
Oh yeah,
you sound like a movie trailer voice. I'm a Mormon, but I'm also a UFC fighter. I'm also. you need to sign up for a movie trailer companies.
Oh man, I get this a lot in the comments of YouTube. Like, man, you should do like books on tape. I actually have done books on tape, but
really.
I have not. It's not like steady work. It's not like you show up 9 to 5 to do books on tape. I mean, maybe some people do, but for me, it was like once in a while I get a call like, "Hey, we need somebody to come and record this book this day, and this day, and here's the pay." And
that's tiring, though, right?
Yeah,
you're sitting there for what, like 5-10 hours, like just reading.
But more so, it's inconsistent work, is what it is.
Oh,
I mean, I enjoy it. I like doing voiceovers and whatnot. I've done voiceovers for like live theater as well. I've done a few film commercial voiceovers and whatnot. But
you can be the backup for. I just thought about it right now. The dog on Family Guy. I forgot the dog's name, but you kind of sound. Yeah, you sound just
Brian the dog.
You can kind of like.
He's a little different. Let me see. What's something Brian the dog would say?
I have no idea. It would be something vulgar for sure. His Family Guy, they'll say something crazy. But
that's the thing. I just can't be vulgar, man. It's not in my character.
all you need is a comedic timing, and then you'll be perfect for that. Or they could just draw it around. They could draw the comedy around your voice.
Man, I remember when I was in 10th grade. I'm sitting at this table in art class, and these guys sitting across from me, they look over and say, "Hey, Ramsey, have you ever said a swear word in your life?" And I thought about it. I was like, no. And they said, "Man, you should like sell tickets and just like have a big old theater and just like scream the F word into a microphone. You'd make $1 million."
It'd be like the Mike Tyson show. We just in Vegas.
Can't do it.
Single person on stage just cursing everybody out.
I think I actually said "damn" once in this podcast so far. So it's in the Bible, though.
Really, you don't curse so much? I don't nowadays. I try not to curse nowadays. Actually, yeah. I'm not really.
Well, good for you, man. Good for you.
I try not to, for sure.
It's cursing, swear words. It's a weird thing because when we're little, we're always told it's bad, it's wrong, you're going to hell if you say these words or whatever it is people say to get you not to do this. But thinking about it from a more logical perspective, the advantage of limiting your vocabulary, or I guess I should say filtering those words out of your vocabulary, is it forces you to think more creatively to express yourself.
That's true.
And it makes you a better speaker, I would say.
That's true. But that's the same thing as being like politically correct. You know, you being kind of forced to think.
Oh, I don't like that.
And
what have I just said? I take it back.
Yeah,
I take it back.
Yeah. And you know what? I think for me, because when I came out to China, actually, and I was my first job, I was the manager. Became a manager of the teachers there, and I really tried to be professional. I think that's when I really kind of, into my normal everyday vocabulary, started like to speak kind of politically correct and kind of think about what I'm saying, you know. And you're in China as well. You're usually talking to Chinese people, and you have to think about the English that they know, and you kind of got to think about what you're saying to them a lot. So that's why I kind of like, you know, that's what happened for me.
Yeah, and political correctness, it's a radically different thing here, man.
Yeah.
It's so radically different.
Publicly, it's everywhere here, but in the blogs and comment section, Chinese people are just as vicious as anybody around the world.
Oh yeah, there's a major difference between what people say publicly and privately.
Yeah.
You ever see those videos of like dogs on two sides of the fence and they're barking at each other and they want to kill each other, and then the fence opens and then they get really quiet and then they're all friends again?
Yeah.
Yeah, people are no different than that, man.
Hey, you just reminded me of something, actually. So the movie The Black Panther, right? It came out in China, and then there was this big thing about, they say that Chinese made a lot of racist comments about the Black Panther, whatever. Oh, you know, on screen, I never seen so many ugly people on screen. Some craziness that they said, whatever, right? And they said, oh, Chinese people are racist and everything. I thought, okay, yeah, there's some prejudice and stuff here, but this is normal in America. Like, I don't know if you read Yahoo comments articles, like every other comment is like something racist or something.
Comments on the internet, man, are the worst.
Yeah. So the comments in America for Black Panther is like, oh man, you know, welfare must have paid for this movie or something. You know, like, you know, those people on screen have bad credit or something. You know, it was some like racist comment. Like, this is normal. I'm just like so used to it. You know, but it's like it's no different from like America. Or,
so we want something to be shocked and appalled about.
Yeah. It was no different, you know. So this is just, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere.
But yeah, when I first got to China, I worked at Shanghai Normal University. Worked there for a couple of years teaching American culture classes. Kind of weird story about how I got that job, but
well, you already fought a whole police squad, so I'm not surprised anymore.
I've done some weird things with my life, man. But yeah, I had a bunch of students who came from like these small towns, like farming towns in China, and you know, they'd never seen a foreigner before except in the movies. And I remember there was this one girl came up and just started saying these incredibly racially insensitive things about black people to me. Like, I really hate black people, and I was like, what? Why are you saying these things? And you know, growing up in America, where you're essentially, there's what people are taught publicly and what people actually believe inside, but we're taught, like, don't say these things are bad. And she's saying all of that in front of me, in front of the whole class, and I'm like,
in front of the whole class,
I didn't even know how to respond to it.
Wow.
And yeah, but some other people were just shaking their heads like, yeah, she's right.
Wow.
I was like,
hopefully you shut her down.
Yeah, man, it's I taught some interesting lessons in that class, because after that I thought, you know what, I want to let these kids know America is a racially diverse place. It's an ethnically diverse place. It's a culturally diverse place. And so I prepared this slide presentation with a bunch of different Americans, pictures of different Americans, all different ethnicities and national origins and whatever. And I put up the slides and I said, I'm going to show you slides of different people. I want you to tell me where they're from. And the first one was this Eskimo lady, this Inuit from Alaska. And they said, she's Chinese. I said, no, she's American. They're like, what? No, she's Chinese. And I showed them a picture of a black guy, and they're like, he's from Africa. I'm like, nope, he's from America. I showed them a picture of some white dude with some very distinct features. He's Russian. Nope, he's American. And just one after another, and they're like, what? No. It's just blowing their minds. Like, this is not what Americans are like in my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy out here, man. There's a large level of ignorance out here, but it's mostly due to miseducation, you know, or just not being informed, you know. And I'm a teacher. I've taught Mostly kids aged 2 to 15 or something like that. But I remember even some of my kids I've taught before, about 8 years old, 9 years old. It was like, it was just one time I remember I talked to the kid and he was like, "What?" We were talking about something. He's like, "What? There's no black people in America." It's like, what? What are you talking about, man? 13% of the population. I was like, I don't know how many millions. If what it was, like 40 million or some crazy number like that. But like, man, like you just not know anything, And even some taxi drivers I've spoken with have said that as well. There's no black people in America. What are you talking about?
It shocks people. Speaking of recording books, I used to do recorded books at this place here in Shanghai, and they hired me and they were looking for a female voice to do this recording as well, and this black American girl comes to audition for the part, and she's reading the part, does fantastic, and the Chinese guys are like, but she's not American. And they come up and they ask me afterward, like, we don't think it's a good idea to give her the. I'm like, why not? And they said, well, we don't think she has a standard accent or something, or standard English. I was like, you're completely wrong about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
give her the job.
Yeah,
but man, they had this idea, like, because she looks this way, she cannot be American.
Yeah. That's really. It's sad, but that's really widespread across China. And as again, going back to me being a teacher in the ESL industry out here, the English as a second language, like teaching English out here, it's a lot of prejudice in this industry for sure. Now, I would say that you could still, don't let that discourage you. No matter what color you are, you can still get a job. For the most part. But they always prefer the white face. And you'll see that. In chat groups, where they post jobs and something like that, they'll say, hey, we're looking for this teacher in Shanghai, this salary, that's how you teach this amount of this age of kids. We want white only.
Yeah.
They'll put that in the chat groups, and even on some famous popular job websites, they'll put that as well.
Wanted one token white guy. That's a real job position here in China. Token white guy.
Yeah.
And I was actually offered a token white guy position once. I work with a referee group here in China, and they're trying to set up an MMA show over in Zambia right now in Africa.
Yeah.
And China has a lot of how can I put this? They own a lot of properties and companies and whatever in Africa, all over the continent. And because of that, a lot of Africans have very mixed feelings. Some of them resent China a lot. Some of them think, yay, China, you're bringing in business and whatever. But
yeah, I read a book about that, actually.
Yeah. So these guys come up to me and said, so if this deal goes through in Africa, we need your help. I'm like, why me? And they say, well, we're going to put this as bluntly as we can. They don't like Chinese faces over there right now, but they do like white American faces right now, so we need you to be the token white guy. Will you do it? It's like, let me know when the deal goes through, man.
Yeah. You got to be careful in that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the token white guy, the white face, actually, whether woman or man, can get you far around here. The privilege extends to China. For sure. There's a lot of stories with some of my friends who are white who say, hey, I was just hired to be the face of the company or something. Or, there's a lot of articles about it where like some major corporations in China will just hire like some white person just to come to their conference or something and just act like they're like in partnership with the business or something like that, just to impress everybody. And actually a friend of mine, I don't want to say his name, a friend of mine in China who owns like a popular furniture company or whatever, like when he does like little shows and stuff like that, will usually hire a friend of ours, just a white face, just to be there and like speak to people and like he's in cohorts with the company or something,
Man. I wonder what that guy says when they ask, what do you do for a living? He probably says some high fancy sounding job title, but the real title is token white guy.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's not to say, there's the white privilege here, honestly, and then there's a foreign privilege as well. Yeah. Where if you're just a foreigner, period, like you can get a lot of good benefits and a lot of like little perks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
China's
know?
a weird country that way because, man, in the United States, it's like the opposite. If you're a foreigner, like my mom was a foreigner from England, moved to the U.S. and you know, there was a lot of negative backlash from the community toward my mother, and that's from a white British woman who speaks English as a native language living in America. And if you're like different color, different language, different, radically different culture, not to say, I mean, British is way different than American, but still, I can't even imagine what that's like. But in China, being a foreigner is, well, if you're the right type of foreigner anyway, it's very much embraced. They love Americans for the most part.
Yeah.
People from Europe are widely received with open arms.
Yeah. No matter what shade you are, no matter where you're from, that privilege can go a far way. I'll give you a story as well. So my last city, I was at the ATM. I just took out 1,000 RMB, and they had the public bikes there. And then I rode home, and I went to go lock the bike, and I couldn't find my wallet.
Oh.
Right. So a few days passed, and then I was at my gym. I went to my gym, and then some girl at the reception desk, she's like, "Hey, there's a phone call for you." It's like, what? What the hell? This is really strange. And it was on the line was a journalist, right? And it was like, she was like, "Yeah, we found your wallet. You know, some factory worker, you know, had found it, and he couldn't speak English or read the English off your card, so he contacted us to track you down. And you have your gym card here, so I just called the gym asking about you, and there we have it." So he's like, "Yeah, we found your wallet," but she's like, "Oh, I'm a journalist, and you know, you're a foreigner, and because you're a foreigner, and this is like a special thing that happened, you know, we want to actually record you like on camera tomorrow when you meet up with the factory worker. He'll give you back the wallet. You know, this would be a good sign for Quinshan, the people of Quinshan, to say, hey, this good person from Quinshan found this foreigner's wallet and it gave it back to him, and all the money was still there, you know, so we want to record this." And that's what happened. The next day I met up with them, and they had the news cameras there to interview me and everything. You know, that was some foreign privilege, you know. And then like 2 weeks later or something, it was Oktoberfest there, and like it was two incidents. Some random people came up to me like, "Hey, I saw you on the news, man. You know, I know you. You know, this is my first year in China." I'm like, wow, this is a really good feeling, you know.
You're a minor celebrity already.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was fun. And then another thing that happened was I was in this TV series about IP Man. A friend of mine got a request from some producer. It's like, "Hey, we need some foreigners."
But Ip Man, the Wing Chun guy?
Ip Man,
okay.
yeah. They was like, "Hey, we're filming this TV show here. We need some foreigners to just come over there." And I'm down for it, you know. And I'm thinking like, okay, we're probably gonna have to fight IP Man. He whoops our asses, some kung fu or something like that, you know. Leave with bruise marks and stuff. But we go there to the set, and they give us these like 1920s U.S. Navy sailor uniforms and stuff. And it's like this fight club in some bar or whatever, and they hook us up with like these Chinese girls or whatever, and some fake booze, and we're just cheering on this boxer who's fighting the IP Man. And he eventually gets.
Wait, were you in Ip Man too?
No, I was in a TV series.
Oh, it was a TV series, not the movie.
It's not the movie. I was in the TV series. I was just an extra in the background. And matter of fact, I was just yelling. You know, you're supposed to yell for the guy, whatever. I was so loud that they changed the whole start of the shot. The opening of the shot, they started the camera right on me. So the first scene, you see me like just cheering. You know, I got the Chinese girl, I got my booze in my hand, stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Just being a foreigner, you know, they needed some foreigners there. I got a job.
Man, I know so many foreigners here in Shanghai who had no acting experience whatsoever, and suddenly they come here and they're starring in like major motion pictures and stuff, and it's mind-boggling. Speaking of Ip Man, like the first time I heard of Ip Man, I used to work with this other dude at a different MMA gym, and he comes in the gym one day and says, "I got this offer to be in this movie. You want to do it?" And I said, "What's it called?" He's like, "IP Man" or something like. Doesn't sound like a real movie. I don't think I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And he tells me a little bit about the role. I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like it's legit."
Oh man.
And it turned out they were filming Ip Man too, and my friend Anthony ended up playing the referee in this scene at the end where Ip Man fights a boxer, and afterward I find Ip Man, the first movie on the shelves. And I'm like, wait, that's Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, yeah,
I know
exactly.
that guy. He's famous. And I watched the movie. I'm like, holy crap, this is a great movie.
You missed out.
And then the sequel came out and I was like, I could have been in this movie.
Yeah.
If I just showed up, I could have been in this movie.
Yeah, man. And you could have been in Ip Man 3 too, Mike Tyson.
Probably,
Everything.
yeah, probably.
Could have
So,
been there
man,
somebody's ass.
There's a lot of arguments on the internet right now in America about white privilege and whatever privilege, and a lot of poor white people are asking, well, where's my privilege? And I'll tell you, it's in China.
Yeah.
That's where your privilege is.
Yeah, definitely.
It's outsourced to China.
Come to China and become a millionaire in like a week. Hey, that's why I see, there are a lot of older white men who usually come to China to find wives
Oh, yeah.
as well. Because, like, they, I don't know, it's just something about,
Guy who's like 50, 60 years old.
yeah, maybe have their life together, got some money, just looking for a wife or something like that. And
walking down the street with a 21-year-old
yeah,
gorgeous girl on his arm.
yeah. But
You wonder.
I guess that's not just in China, though. Maybe it's all in East
Sure, it
Asia,
happens
but,
all over, but we definitely see it in China a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Usually at these small like bar venues or something, you see a lot of older white guys with some younger Chinese girls or something.
Man, it makes me wonder though, like what is that guy's story? What is that guy's story?
Yeah. Who knows, man? He's probably like divorced and just moved to China, and
Yeah.
it's not bad. I mean, it happened. Life
Or
happens.
running from the law or something.
Running from the law. Yeah, you know any individuals like that?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Ah,
But I do want to say something.
yeah.
Back to Capoeira. Just
Yeah.
a quick little comment. So a lot of people probably will ask, why is Capoeira still like your favorite martial art versus some jiu-jitsu? Some I love both.
Yeah.
But I've come to know there's two different ways I feel after I leave like both sessions. Like
Yeah.
like I said, Capoeira is like the culture and everything, holistic martial art, and like there's like this positive energy there that's like not surpassed by any other martial art. This the whole combination of the thing, and like you have this ashe, this like they call it dende and ashe, in Capoeira, where you're just moving, everybody's happy, everybody's play fighting, with each other, and
Yeah.
just a really positive vibe that I miss from Capoeira that I feel every time I go there. It's good stress release.
Yeah.
Or like jiu-jitsu and doing MMA class, there's more that thing of just being confident. That's a completely separate thing, but it's also still the same thing. Where
Oh,
like,
definitely.
yeah, just knowing, because I guess they say the ultimate goal of martial arts is to learn not to fight, right?
Okay.
Which is like ironic in a sense, but you understand, to be
Yeah.
like so confident in
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm always
and-
telling people, like, they're asking me, how do I win a street fight? I'm like, don't get into one.
Yeah.
What if I have to? What do you mean? You don't have to. I mean, you can diffuse most street fight situations. And they're like, but what if a guy comes out with like a gun and a knife or whatever? Then that's an aggravated assault. It's not a street fight. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But, two guys getting mad at each other, that you can avoid.
I guess that's the ultimate purpose.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a very hard thing to avoid. But just learn not to fight and being so confident maybe in your skills and your abilities to just not have to deal with the situation. So that's another thing that I like. It gives you that confidence just walking down the street and just feeling confident in yourself, in what you can do. And at least you're not going to win every fight, but at least you have like some task or some strategy or something going into it. So how do you feel about that? Like what's your ultimate goal for martial arts?
Oh man, that's a good question. My goal for martial arts has changed so much over the years. Like, I first got into martial arts because I got beat up by bullies in school, and I wanted to learn how to beat the bullies. Mm-hmm. And in my childhood mind, martial arts was this elegant solution. It was cool looking.
Yeah.
I saw movies with Bruce Lee fighting the bad guys, and Daniel LaRusso kicking Johnny Lawrence in the face with the crane kick and gaining the respect of the bully. And
the hero. He's the hero too.
And it's a weird thing because in my childhood mind, this fantasy, and that's what it is. It's a butt kicking fantasy. It's really, really appealing. But then when it comes down to the reality of training training beats you up so much more than the bullies do. To get good at fighting, you got to get beaten up, endure so much more pain and suffering than any bully in any school will ever inflict on you.
Yeah, that's how you learn from it, though.
Yeah, and then after that, I started becoming comfortable being uncomfortable. And my goals and my priorities started changing, like a lot. And when I started fighting professionally, and I didn't do it with any delusions of grandeur. I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to go to the UFC. It was just like, I need an extra paycheck. And here's a fight show offering me $50 to show and $50 to win. And I need 50 extra bucks a month to make ends meet. So I'm going to go do that.
Was it only $50?
$50, yeah. That was my first pro fight, $50. Really?
I thought amateur fighters get like $5,000 or something.
Amateurs don't get paid at all, but...
Really?
It depends on the show.
Okay.
And that's something that's shocked me a lot was how much more they paid for fights in China than I was making in the U.S. I think the biggest paycheck I ever made in the U.S. was $500 to win, and
only if you won.
Yeah, it was like 200 to show and 300 more to win, something like that. So my biggest payday in the U.S. was $500. So it wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough to get by, and that was why I was fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I started training some other guys, and my goals started shifting. It went from surviving to teaching people how to win fights, because I started seeing patterns in fights, in the fights I was watching that nobody else seemed to be paying attention to. I was like, well, wait, if we do this and this and this and this, then we can start winning fights that these guys aren't. And so I started training these guys in my gym back in the U.S., and they started winning fights and, proving my methods and whatnot. And I came over here to China, and initially I thought, I'm going to do the same thing, build up this stable of fighters and whatnot. And nobody knew what MMA was. And so my priorities had to change again, from build up the stable of fighters and badasses to win a whole bunch of fights to what is it about now? And most of the people that I meet, most of the people come to the gym, they don't want to be pro fighters. They want to have some type of
self-defense technique.
Sometimes it's self-defense, but moreover, they're looking for something. They're looking for an experience that pushes them in some kind of positive direction. And so I would say right now, besides helping some people win fights, because, you have guys like Rex who come in who are pro fighters and whatnot, but for the most part, I had this thought, which is, if all I teach my students is how to punch and kick and do arm bars and guard passes or whatever, then I've failed as a coach. Mm-hmm. But if I can push them in a positive direction in some way, then I've done something worthwhile.
What do you mean by positive direction exactly?
Well, that's a really, really vague term, isn't it? Man.
You mean like just feel better about themselves, or like I said, feel more confident, or
Well, all of those things are a positive direction, but I guess
are they push them to, I guess it's like the same thing as teaching like some teenagers or something, like who are in school or something, who are getting bullied or who are suicidal or something, or like stressful in high school or something. You push them in a positive direction. That means like they're going to do better at school, their work, just in life, their relationships. Maybe they'll start teaching eventually, and it'll completely just guide their lives towards like a positive direction where like they're optimistic and getting stuff done and focus, all the things they say that martial arts like helps people to achieve.
That is interesting. I had this student years ago, this Brazilian kid named Arthur, and Arthur was a very naturally gifted athlete. And if you're watching Arthur, I'm just going to come out and say this, as hurtful as it might be. He was a little bit lazy about training. But he was gifted athletically, so he would show up late for class and whatnot, and he'd start kicking people's butts and sparring and whatnot. But after a while, the people who showed up more consistently and did the warm-ups and did the technique started getting better. And it got harder and harder for him to kick their butts, and he had like this little paradigm shift, like, wait, I need to change some things. And Arthur loved getting into fights, outside of class. And he got into some street fights, and Man, he had one where I guess he got hurt pretty badly, and it changed his whole paradigm. Like, I need to change my priorities, because before his priority was, the fun and the fantasy of fighting and mixing it up and whatnot. And afterward, he got a lot more serious about
Training and stuff.
Yeah, and a lot. It's funny. The more serious he got about fight training, the farther he drifted away from the fantasy of getting into street fights and whatnot, which was great. This man, if
that's interesting.
Yeah,
The more he got serious about training, the more he kind of matured in his.
oh yeah,
Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but that's interesting. Yeah.
it makes sense when you've experienced it, but if you haven't, a lot of people out there they look at martial artists and think, oh, you're just mongers of violence, and that's not it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, martial arts is violent action. I mean, MMA fighting is absolutely a violent sport.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting because, even myself, I had some thoughts where, like, okay, I know a little bit of martial arts, a little bit of jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, capoeira and some striking and stuff like that. And I would think, like, okay, maybe outside, in some situation, maybe I could probably take this person or whatever, and, that's the fantasy of it. Like, man,
Yeah.
you know what? I should just say, fuck it, and just, like, go and attack that person and, challenge myself and or defend myself when necessary. But, that's an intriguing side of it, and something I kind of think about a lot. But, yeah, like, as you seriously delve into it in training, you kind of just more so think about just not using it to not fight, just to relax and like stuff like that. So that process is pretty interesting.
yeah, I think the more familiar you are with the consequences of violence, the less excited you are about actually using violence.
Yeah. But although you still gotta train and you still like to compete, You still want to, at least challenge yourself, whether like in the dojo, like in the boxing ring or something, or whether even just do rolling or something like that. Like you still have to release kind of like that energy though.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Sure. But yeah, there's one of the biggest paradigm shifts I had in martial arts training. I was probably about 22, training in Taekwondo, sparring in this class with a friend of mine, good friend, and I wasn't trying to hurt him, but I didn't pull my kick enough, and it landed like right on his jaw, and it knocked him out. And for about 2 seconds, I was like, whoa, cool, I knocked him out, because, it's this gratifying feeling when you land the kick and the guy falls down.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, crap, I just knocked out my friend. What have I just done? And I felt really bad about it, and I was like, man, the consequences of violence are bad.
What you actually, yeah.
And just imagine if that wasn't a controlled situation, if we didn't have mats and if...
Or imagine if you were on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
If he did it to you.
Exactly.
Because even, you can think all you want about the martial arts, but until you feel that pain, until someone like I said, for the kickboxing class, I think, I forgot the guy's name, the American guy who was
Trey.
there. Maybe I just forgot his name, but we were sparring.
Yeah.
And like I told you, he kicked me in my head. This is with pads. This is with like a pad on. This is with shin guards on. But he kicked me just in my head right here. And that's the hardest I've ever been hit, period, just in my life.
Yeah, I know who you're talking Trey. He's got some heavy kicks, man.
Yeah, it felt like my brain just shifted. Like
even when he pulls them, it's still heavy.
Yeah. And that's the hardest I've ever been hit ever in my life. And it's like, wow, it really feels just like this in an extreme situation, and that wasn't good, because I had to break a little bit. So I can imagine if we didn't have the shin guards or the headgear, and I imagine if he kicked me like that or hit me like that in a street fight or something, but the opponent will most likely still be attacking me, because they didn't knock me out, but they would still be attacking me.
Man, my first pro kickboxing match, I lost the decision, but I ended up breaking the guy's jaw. I didn't know I'd broken his jaw. I threw a left round kick right at the jaw, snap. Same kick that I knocked my friend out with, because that was in my muscle memory, like this is the knockout kick. But he kept going and kept pounding on me until the end of the fight. And I ran into him about 3 months later in a gym. We both went to the same Gold's Gym, and I found out, like, hey, it's you. And he said, oh man, you broke my jaw in that fight. It's like, man, that was I was like, really? And again, for about 2 seconds, I was like, oh, good job, me, pat on the back. Did something cool, but then I just felt like, man, the consequences of violence are bad.
Yeah. And props to your friend for still fighting through, I guess.
Yeah.
To the end, though. That's tough for him.
Yeah, man. That's something a lot of people from the outside don't really understand about combat sports is friends fight friends often. And even if you don't know each other after the fight, I mean, what do fighters do? They hug each other, they congratulate each other, they shake each other's hands. They become friends, essentially, a great majority of the time. And that's confusing to a lot of people who associate violent action with hatred.
Like war. Yeah,
and
hatred.
It's not always synonymous.
You ever been choked out?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How did it feel for you?
Well, the one time I was choked unconscious, I did it in a demo in class, and you can actually watch it on my YouTube account. The video is titled "Coach Choked Out by a Girl." You know Alex?
Yeah,
Alex Kumar from Austria.
Yeah.
So it's a weird story. I accidentally choked her out. I accidentally choked her unconscious demonstrating a north-south choke.
Accidentally.
I say accidentally because I'm demonstrating the choke, and she's the the volunteer, and she's waiting for it to hurt. And when properly applied, this choke doesn't hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm looking for the tap. I'm feeling for the tap. She's not tapping. I'm like, she should be tapping, and I let go, and I look, and she just collapses on the floor. I'm like, crap, I just choked her out in front of the class.
Wow.
And she wakes up a couple of seconds later, like, why is everybody staring at me? What's going on? And we explain the situation. I'm like, everybody has questions, all these questions about chokes. I'm like, I'm just going to show you pragmatically how it works. Alex choked me out, so I figured fair was fair. So she puts the rear naked choke on me. I got my arm up in the air so that when I go out, it'll collapse. And so I'm choked out in front of everybody. This is on film.
Wait, so you mean you wanted her
unconscious? Yes.
You wanted her to choke you unconscious?
Yes,
like
just
literally.
For educational purposes. Don't do this at home, kids. Don't do this at home unless.
That's bold, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bold move. Yeah, but so again, I did it for educational purposes to show people how quickly you can be choked unconscious, that it doesn't necessarily hurt. In fact, a blood choke when applied correctly, with the bicep and the forearm, these are soft connecting points pressed into the carotid arteries. It's really pretty painless.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like? It's just like didn't really feel like anything. It was like. Yeah. You're waiting for it to happen. All of a sudden, people are staring at you, and you're looking up, and they're like, "Are you okay? Are you?" And you're like, "Yeah." What? Oh, I guess I got choked out. Okay.
That's funny because I've never been fully choked out, but like I've been close enough, and like it feels like you're just drifting into like bliss or something. It's just like it's like a fade away, just it's somewhat like a good feeling. Like to say, just even from
unless
partially
it's a Darce choke, those ones hurt.
Yeah, with a neck crank on the side or something. But like, just it's even partially being choked is like blissful. Because even the same thing happened. My friend was demonstrating like a triangle or something to one of our other friends, and I was a volunteer, and he didn't even have the full choke on me, but he was just talking and explaining something. And while I was just there, it was hot in the room. The shorts, were just in my face and stuff like that. And he had it, but it wasn't like fully locked in. But even that alone just made me like, oh shit, I need to wake up. I need to say, hey, get off me, But it felt like a nice sleep, like you just falling asleep and just
Yeah, a lot of people when they get choked, it doesn't register that they got choked out. Like I saw this one fight. This dude gets choked out with a triangle. And the referee comes, pulls him apart. He's out on the floor. The ring doctor comes in to have a look at him. The guy comes to, pounces on the ring doctor, takes him down, starts throwing punches. The doctor blocks the punches. He's like, stop fighting, I'm the doctor. And the guy's like, what? Who are you? Where's the other guy? Where'd he go?
Just that's how it feels.
Yeah, it was just like a lapse in time. One moment he's fighting the guy trying to punch him. All of a sudden he opens his eyes. There's a different guy underneath him. Like, where'd you come from? What?
It's crazy. In like 5 seconds from being choked unconscious to waking up, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Like what happened. It only takes like 5-10 seconds.
Just a weird little time lapse.
That's a crazy feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
It's different than getting knocked out though. I've been knocked unconscious a few times in fights, and that's man.
Yeah.
One of those sent me off to La La Land in a big way. Like I just had these weird lucid dreams, and it seemed
from kick punch.
no. Actually, it was in training. I was training with the guy. I attempted a flying armbar, and while I'm up in the air, he slammed me down on my head. And I was out for 30 minutes, just in a coma for 30 minutes, and it was like I was dreaming, having this crazy lucid dream, and it seemed to go on for years. But I was only out for 30 minutes. When I finally woke up, I was like, wait, I'm back here?
Wow.
But what about all that other stuff that happened? This is
complete time shift.
Yeah, but getting choked out, it was just like a little blip, and all of a sudden you're a few seconds ahead in the future.
Yeah. What exactly is the stuff they use for people who get knocked, who go unconscious? That's like a little.
You mean the smelling salts, ammonia, or whatever that is?
Is it ammonia?
I don't know. I don't think they use it so much anymore. I was talking about ammonia yesterday with Ned. He said he bought some for weightlifting because like weightlifters will use smelling salts to like get a big boost of adrenaline or whatever to do a big heavy lift. And I remember when I was a kid, we had smelling salts in our home first aid kit. And I knew this because my older brother, I remember one day I was sleeping and he stuck some under my nose. And I don't know if you ever smelled smelling salts, but they sting going in.
I have.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
It'll wake you up.
Yeah. Well, I smelled
wake
a whole, it was a bottle of ammonia because we used to stay in this house and had a big backyard. There was a lot of alley cats going in the backyard. So my mom bought ammonia to like shoo away the cats and stuff. But I don't know what I was doing, but I just picked it up and I just opened it. And this is really close, like as close as a water bottle is. I just went like this.
Oh.
And I was like probably like middle school, elementary or something. And like, I feel like that painful. Just like, never again will I ever get close
it's like
to
stuffing
ammonia.
a chili pepper up your nose.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like the strangest thing.
I know that because I tried it once when I was a kid. Don't do that, kids. Don't stuff chili peppers up your nose. Bad idea.
What were you doing that for? Were you trying to like...
Oh, man, I don't know. Kids do stupid things sometimes. And I thought I was a smart kid, but, man, even smart kids do stupid things sometimes.
This will give me an A on that test.
I was like 5 or 6. Man.
But yeah, I don't know. Weightlifters, is that common? They use that to.
I don't know how common it is. I mean, I have seen it done before, but man, Ned said I haven't actually used them yet. I just have them in my pack for motivation.
Motivation. Hey, just get a Red Bull or something, or a Monster Energy drink. You need to be sniffing.
I don't know, man.
Ammonia salts.
Weightlifting, like lifting heavy weights, like heavier than you've lifted before, or so heavy you feel it's like mentally soul crushing or something like that. You have to put your mind in a very unique place, and it's hard to do that sometimes on a regular day, especially when you feel tired or just down or whatever. So I mean, I get it. I understand why you might do that, but I wouldn't personally.
Yeah, I don't even like lifting hard weights anymore, but I do like I really love these like body pump classes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a class at the gym. It's like an hour-long class of you doing light weights with the pole and with like individual not barbells. What are they called? The circular ones. I don't know specifically.
Kettlebells.
Not kettlebells. Just like this one, like the microphone. Here, just like a weight. It's like
what kind of weights are there?
5 kg, has a hole in the middle.
Dumbbells.
It's something like that.
I don't even know.
I mean, you're talking about. Maybe I'm not explaining it well, but anyway, using light weights in the class, and you just go from 1 hour straight doing different body parts or something like that. That I feel good doing that because it's like aerobics as well, and it's also weightlifting as well, and you're working out different body parts. That's what I will try to do from now on. Actually, do a class like that. I know you have the strength and conditioning class.
That's interesting though, because you're a pretty strong guy, man, and it's interesting to hear like what strong people get their results from. Because I've met some people who are just enormously powerful and they never lift. I'm like, how are you so strong and you never lift? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you got some people who lift all the time and they're just not that strong, and some people who do like light weights and they're just beasts.
Yeah.
So
And you get the small people who are just really strong as well. Like the people who teach the body pump class, they're like tiny, tiny Chinese guy or whatever, and like he's doing the most weights in like the whole class. He's doing it like 3 times a week.
And there's so much literature on the subject of strength training and strength gains and whatnot, and there's good information, terrible information, bro science out there, but man, at the end of the day, if it gives you the result you want, that's the right way.
For it, right? I prefer because going back to the capoeira, I prefer because I'm trying to do more acrobatics.
Yeah.
And the acrobatics, like I've seen some really strong people and big people in capoeira doing some moves, but like, I really want to be able. I like doing calisthenics.
Yeah.
Like I would love to really just be able to do calisthenics versus anything. Take away all the weights, any less stuff. I would love to just be able to walk on my hands and like do a lot of pull-ups,
muscle ups.
Yeah. I would love to just do that if I could, but that is the hardest training like you could ever do. Like just doing pull-ups all the time, doing dips, use your own body weight.
Have you ever tried intermittent pull-ups?
I don't know what do you mean?
So basically what that is, the average person can do a certain number of pull-ups. Like I can do like 10 good pull-ups and then maybe 1 or 2 bad pull-ups and then one halfway up the bar and then I fail on a good day. And maybe a good day, a few more bad day, a few less. But so intermittent pull-ups, if you want to increase that number, what that is if you can do 10 pull-ups, instead do 3 or 4, maybe 5. And then go do something else for a little bit, and then come back and do maybe 5 more. Then go do something else, 5 minutes, come back, do 5 more. And do that throughout your workout, and so by the end of the workout, you've done like 50 pull-ups.
Okay. Instead of just doing them all at one time.
Yeah, because if you do them all at one time, you're like, okay, I'm tired, I'm done with pull-ups, and then you never get past that peak of 10 or whatever the number is.
I've tried that before, and actually that works so well because usually if you're doing pull-ups, you're doing just upper body in general, so I do pull-ups and then go do like do work on the chest, or do the bench press or something like that, and then still go back to pull-ups as well. But I think for me, like I'm really heavy, like I feel like I'm a really heavy person, so like
pull-ups are like the most inegalitarian exercise ever, because the more you weigh, the harder it is to do, the more you have to pull. So you got these little tiny people who brag like, I can do 30 pull-ups, and like, you weigh 10 pounds, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
nothing to pull up.
You look at anyone, like a dude who weighs like 220 pounds, solid muscle striations everywhere. It's rare to see a guy who weighs that much be able to do more than 20 pull-ups.
Yeah,
even if they're in tremendous shape.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless they strictly just do pull-ups all the time or something.
Yeah,
but it's definitely difficult. Like I said, with capoeira and doing like calisthenics, I would prefer to do that, but I think just my body type, man, I think it's just not going to happen. So I do like try to do the body pump and do small weights every now and then, but I am aiming to get more like in shape though, just more in shape for calisthenics.
But yeah, acrobatics, gymnastics it's cool, man. It's not just cool as in it looks cool, but man, it is so good for all types of martial arts training.
Yeah.
Like one of my old coaches, Mark Brewer, and his coach, Ricky Lindell, they are huge on gymnastics warm-ups. Like their whole warm-up is a tumbling routine.
Yeah.
And I borrowed some of that in as much as I could do because, man, they're doing like crazy backflips and handsprings and all this stuff that I can't even do yet. I'm working on it. But I started incorporating that in the class. Every day we do some tumbling. And then you guys come in and they see it and it blows their mind like, I can't do a front roll like that. That's crazy. But then, a few weeks later, they're like, I can do front rolls now.
Easily.
And then they build up to cartwheels and round offs and all that other stuff.
Well, I would love to be doing that stuff too, but like as well, so I hurt my back.
Yeah.
I hurt my back in about January of this year. I don't know. First, I initially blamed it on the cold weather. I think I was exercising too much between capoeira, going to the gym, and doing the class and stuff. Yeah. And I was doing like 3-4 times a week and stuff. And it gets really, really effing cold in Shanghai. January, February, it's a humid cold. It's a hard cold. And I think I was just doing too much and not
And central heating is very rare in China.
Yes. Whereas Korea, they had like heated floors and everything. But
if you're from like Idaho or Alaska or Canada, you'll be like, you don't know what cold is, young man.
Yeah, they always say that.
You had to walk through school through 7 feet of snow. But
it's brutal.
You probably also had heating in your house.
Yeah, exactly. There's no cars here. You got to get by subway or something. But it was brutal. And then I didn't do I'm not walking too much. In China, I have a scooter bike, and I take that everywhere. I don't take the subway too often. So throughout the week, I'm doing all these hardcore like classes and stuff for sports, but I'm not like just doing a 60-minute walk throughout the day or just walking half an hour throughout the day, doing any aerobics and stuff. But I hurt my back, so I can't train like I want to because I really want to be at class, like again 3 times, 4 times a week if I could. But I finally went to the doctor this past week.
How'd that go?
Yeah, I got the MRI, and they said it's something called ossification of the posterior ligament. Oh, that's what they said. And they said, to my understanding, is that like there's this muscle on my back, small muscle on my back, that's like pressing against the nerve on my spine. Yeah. Right. And so that causes the pain. And they said eventually, like in a worst case scenario, this muscle can like harden. And when it hardened, it'll do more damage like to that nerve.
Yeah, ossification meaning becoming bone, basically.
Yeah. And they said that particular spot like controls like the lower half of my body or something. So they said like in extreme case, I could feel like numbness or like something like that in my legs or something like that. That's the first thing he asked me. Did I feel numbness in my arms or legs, something like that? But that's what they said it was. They said the only treatment is like surgery. Ooh. Or something like that. That's the only treatment for it. Yeah, but I'm going to go get a second opinion.
Yeah, look for any and every alternative to back surgery you possibly can before considering that option.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
My back, it's all right now. I can still go to class and everything, but going 4 times a week, like I really want to. Like I feel I can do outside of just my back.
Have you ever done yoga?
I have, but I really like to move. Yeah. I really love to move. I don't know if sitting down so much is just like
there are yoga classes where you move a lot more than some others. Some of them like sit in a posture. Others are like move through positions and whatnot. But the reason I bring that up is because the act of stretching, and I've read 3 very interesting studies about this. The act of stretching actually fosters the development of new stem cells in the joints.
Really?
Yeah. And
stem cells.
Yeah, it's. There's studies, and I wish you could cite them right now, but I don't have internet access up here in the conference room. But there were 3 performed between like the year 2012 and 2017. And it basically just says stretching is really good for you because it develops new stem cells in the joints, which can create new healthy tissue where damaged tissue used to be. And I think one of the reasons why this study isn't more well-known mainstream is because there's no money in it. If the result of the study was take this magic drug and it's going to fix your problem, they'd be all over that.
Yeah, for sure.
But since it's something based on your own initiative, if you spend more time stretching, it will help. Yeah, nobody really gets excited about that.
Yeah. Although it's one of those things too. It's a life thing where like know the benefits of it. Like I know I should read every day. There are huge benefits of it, but I just can't. I can't do it. I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah, I get it.
And even stretching, like I know I should stretch probably more every day, especially my body type. I think I really need to stretch more. Yeah. But it's something that I don't do too often.
Yeah, it's funny. Like if you talk to almost any physical therapist, what they recommend for almost every injury, for almost every type of recovery is stretching and strengthening. Stretch and strengthen. And no matter how they spell it out, whatever program they use, it all comes back to that stretch and strengthen. Again, there's like no miracle drug that's going to fix the problem in the long term. It all comes back to basic stretching and strengthening. But yeah.
They do have, like in Shanghai, for instance, it's the only place I've seen it though, in the Metro Mall in Shujiahui. Yeah. They do have on the 4th, 5th floor, they have what's the fitness program? What's the popular fitness program they have where you go and just work out like for an hour?
CrossFit.
Yeah. It's kind of like CrossFit, but It's a small room. They have like little tables and stuff. All they do like for 1 hour is just stretch you.
Oh, professional body stretchers.
Yeah. There's people there, and these people they look like gym instructors. They're like, got the muscles showing and everything, do the shirts, whatever, and some good music playing, hip music playing. And
you got to be strong to do that job, to stretch really inflexible people out.
But that's all they do. That's all they do is stretch you. That's the only one I've seen so far. But it seems like a good idea that should take off because like most people need it.
Oh yeah.
And
most people are just not flexible the way they need to.
Yeah.
Like how many people outside of say mainland China and Southeast Asia can squat all the way down?
I can't do that.
Yeah, a lot of Americans simply can't. It's just not part of their movement vocabulary.
Yeah.
But it's
especially important, like in my case, for jujitsu as well, because just having that, making my legs more easily available to like pull a triangle or something like that. You gotta have flexible legs, and like that's something I'm working on. So I do encourage everybody to stretch if you are doing any martial art, but especially jiu-jitsu, because like that ground game, even yesterday's class, even doing the there's no name for it.
What did we do yesterday? Was it a sweep?
Sweep. It was a sweep from.
The elevator sweep with the single butterfly
guard.
hook.
Yeah. Even that, just crossing my one leg under the other, is like hard for me because I need to stretch more. I need to get more flexible to do that. So. Yeah, I do need to work.
Flexibility just opens up doors of techniques that weren't available before.
Yeah. And actually going back to my back as well, though. So I should start stretching it out more. And then have you ever done acupuncture?
No, I never have.
Yeah. So when I first hurt my back, I went a couple of months later to an acupuncturist, and first of all, that shit hurts. It hurts.
That's something nobody's ever told me before.
Hey, don't listen to what anybody.
It's like, acupuncture is great. You should do it.
Hey, it's not painless at all.
That makes sense. People jam needles into your body. That sounds painful to me.
Yeah. But I always heard it's just smooth and painless and stuff. But I went, and at that time, it was a pain that shot down from the top of my deltoid.
Yeah.
Deltoid, right, to all the way to my index finger.
Oh.
Actually, and so I went to the acupuncturist, and he stuck the needles in my back, all the way down to my hands and forearm or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bit on my back, and I did feel better. Like a month later, that kind of pain and everything kind of went away.
Okay.
So I am thinking about trying it again, just for my middle back, just to see what happens. Because like you said, like try anything aside from surgery.
Yeah, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
The worst that happens is, you get that pins and needles sensation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work, and you try something else.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, it helps you out. So.
That pain, man, is intense though.
Yeah.
Acupuncture pain, but it helps. It does help though.
Well, good, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we're running close to the time where this is gonna stop. You know what's weird? Every time I look over the screen right there, my face comes into focus. So every time I look away, I go back to that white ghost.
Yeah, I see it now. It's bright. That's
fascinating.
Yeah, the camera's marking. Let me try it. Actually, yeah, I'm staying the same.
I don't know, man.
It's tan game up, man.
Indeed. Didn't spend enough time outside this summer. Actually, I got sunburned a lot, man.
Really? I got tan back at home. I just went back home to LA for about 8 days or something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Saw the world's biggest trees. If you're ever in California, go to Sequoia National Park. You see the world's largest trees. It's incredible.
Those are the largest living things on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Bigger than blue whales.
Yeah. And those weren't even the tallest tree. The tallest trees are the California redwoods, but a sequoia tree, it's crazy when you think about just how large a tree can actually get. So
that is, unless you count the fungal network under the ground throughout the soil of the world. That's actually bigger than trees.
Oh, really?
But I don't think that counts as a single organism.
Yeah, it could, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. But anyway, the largest single organism, trees.
Yeah.
Right in California.
Yeah. So check that out.
Yeah. And I love California. My wife is from there. Every time I go back to the U.S., I always make a stop there.
Yeah, it's the best city in the world. Best. LA. I love LA. LA's the best city in the world, but California's the best state for sure.
Yeah.
California weather. A lot of hot girls, stylish girls who keep themselves together, walking around.
The 7 people who've stayed around to listen to the end of this podcast are typing angrily, "No, my town is the best city in the world. How dare you?"
Forget all that. Go to LA. LA is the best city in the world.
It's a fun place, man. I love it.
For sure.
All right. Anything else you'd like to say to the folks at home before we run out of screen time here?
If you're listening right now, I do want to promote this. If you want to consider traveling the world, try teaching English abroad. Come to China, check it out. Don't come visit, just come move. Just do the whole shebang and just get over here if you can. Really interesting place, something funny, interesting happening every day. I've been out here myself for about 7 years. Ramsey has been up here about
about a decade,
50 years or something like that. but check it out.
All right, Donovan, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, I need something to eat. I'm starving.